What is up? How we doing? What's up? Stream is beginning. Super excited. Thanks for just getting my message count up, you know? I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I do realize just now, as the camera went live, that the irony of the topic that we're about to start stream with while wearing a GitHub hoodie. I just now realized this is just the hoodie that I keep in my studio because the AC in this office just blasts. I'm like very hard person to make feel cold. I run very hot, and man, does my studio challenge that. I literally have a blanket on at all times. Yeah. And so listen. We need Vol New hoodies. Okay. We need Vol New hoodies, and then I can just wear my own swag on my own stream. Got it. Guys, did we see the drama that is going on that feels like, what year does it currently feel like this morning? If you were to pick a year, if today was a vintage of wine and we were talking about responsible disclosure versus public disclosure and Microsoft Security Response Center, what year does that taste like? If we were like just swishing the wine around, we're looking at the legs, we're checking the nose. What year does it kind of just feel and taste like it is as I'm sitting here with a stream titled Microsoft Calling Security Researchers Criminals? Man, it's been a while since I like dated this topic, but I'm thinking the vintage is like somewhere in the late aughts, right? Maybe we're in like the 2009 to 2011 vintage. If I'm swirling the wine around, my wife bought me this like very aggressive ring. Come on, focus. Pretty cool ring, but I don't really want it on stream all day. If I'm swirling the topic around the big oversized glass and trying to figure out what year it is right now, just based on the Twitter discourse. Yeah, I know. Some of you aren't certified UNC status like me. No, I'm talking pre-Windows 7, baby. This is a very, very 2010 topic, okay? Let's see. Let's try to find the no more free bet. Ooh, I almost nailed it on the head. March 2009. March 2009. Let's find this. Let's find the source on this. We're going to pull up. We're going to give everyone a history lesson, okay? Whoa, Threat Post came up on the search engine. Threat Post was one of my favorite security blogs for many years. I miss it terribly. No more free bugs was a bit of a movement, okay? Dino is still a homie. I was texting Dino for my birthday the other day. He thought my carne asada looked delicious. And this is Alex. This is CanSec West. And this is the no more free bugs movement, okay? This is pre-bug bounty being like a major thing. You know, bug bounties aren't everywhere. They aren't ubiquitous, okay? And security researchers were kind of fed up, right? If you don't know, CanSec West is like where Pwn to Own was for years. So like this was like one of the massive security like research conferences forever, right? But so let's just read this. First of all, Dennis Fisher, still also a really good homie, wrote for Vol New for a little while in between gigs. He runs Decipher now. I met him back in the Threat Post days. He like interviewed me a few times for quotes and whatnot. Dennis is a homie. Dennis wrote this in This post is from 2009. I thought this post was from recently and it was talking about it, right? No. This is from 2009. Where everyone in chat, sound off. Where were you in March of 2009? What were you doing? What was your, if cybersecurity was like a thing, what were you doing? Huh? So let's read a little bit of this. For years, software makers have benefited from the work done by the community of security researchers who spend days or weeks looking for vulnerabilities and novel ways to break the vendor's products. This work is virtually always done pro bono by researchers who either have day jobs to do their research as sideline or by experts at security companies who do this work to promote their research teams. This is literally no bug bounties, no, this is like, if you read about like 0 days from this time frame that weren't found by the company themselves, and most of them probably weren't, right? If they were published and being talked about, this was free work, okay? Free work. If you found a 0 day in Windows, you just wrote an email, and because, I don't know, street cred, I don't know, you just really liked security. You were QA at Symantec. You had your third kid. Colin was in the 4th grade. I had just, 2009, I had just moved from New York to California and was starting my security career. So this was kind of like my early security career, okay? For years, software makers have benefited from the work. Work is done pro bono. But now several high-profile bug finders are trying to put an end to this. Alex Sudaroff, Dino Dizovi, Charlie Miller and Dino specifically were just like gods at the time at finding vulnerabilities in Apple products, okay? Like they literally wrote the book on the Mac Hacker's Handbook. Zach was in the 9th grade. Zach, man, I didn't realize how much younger than me you were. I clocked you as similar age as me. Clocked you wrong. Not that you look old. You're an experienced person. I don't think I look that old either. But the gray hairs and the beard just get more and more by the day. Though someone literally, I have my on air sign, on in the corner here because I work in a shared office space. Someone literally busted it, opened the door, and they were like, "You look great, man." So listen, Unk still got it. All right, so these guys are legends. They're still legends, right? Like Dino just did like 12 years at Block, like head of security at Block, and left. He didn't even get laid off in that whole thing. Dino's a legend. Anyway, so these guys said no more free bugs, spreading the word that in most cases they would no longer be providing vendors with free vulnerability notices. Charlie was already pretty far down this road, having turned his skills into a career of finding bugs for money, and he puts those skills to use to win cash bounties at Pwn to Own every year. So every year, Charlie would show up to Pwn to Own at CanSec West and drop a Safari bug. He literally had to wind up teaching the Apple security team how to do browser fuzzing. They I remember this. I was conscious of the security industry at this time, even though I wasn't as, experienced as these guys back then, who probably already had a decade in. I was kind of just entering. And I remember this. I remember Charlie, giving talks at DEF CON and stuff. And he was like, hey, Apple, because every year I don't tell them what I find. And then I show up at Pwn to Own and drop a Safari 0 day because that was the only way to catch a bounty. You couldn't just get a bounty throughout the year, right? Charlie said there's a very clear definable market for bugs now. Basically the dark market or the government market is what he's talking about now. He's like, we know the value of a bug, right? Bug buying programs from 0 Day Initiative, who the founder of, I'm looking at his desk. He sits right fucking there, right? So ZDI and VeriSign's iDefense. These are if you know people that worked through these things and they're still around security, these are people who made security what they are today, right? These are legendary companies. I was shocked when I saw someone sign up to go after Internet Explorer 8 at what? Sorry. What is that? That's a weird notification on my phone. Oh, never mind. I was shocked when I saw someone sign up to go after IE8 at Cantech West. You can get paid a lot more than $5,000 for one of those bugs. So basically, they're saying that even at the conference where they're like defining the future of bug bounties, right? Pwn to own, where companies are finally putting up budgets, Microsoft for Internet Explorer 8 put $5,000 up. Chat, hello? Can I point the mic at you? Any comment from chat on that? Like, can I frame today's conversation any fucking better than the birth of this Internet Explorer 8, you know, which I don't have the stats in front of me for March 2009. I'm guessing was still the top used web browser on the internet, right? And they were paying $5,000 for a bug. So Charlie was so surprised that anyone would even bother showing up to Pwn to Own to get a $5,000 bounty out of Microsoft for IE8. I've talked to a lot of smart, knowledgeable people, and no one knows exactly how he did it. Nils. By the way, Nils is the guy. We've read research by Nils. I'm not side questing again. Nils could easily get $50,000 for that vulnerability. I'd say 50 is the low end price point in 2009. If you're talking a modern browser like bug that was 50,000, that Charlie is saying is $50,000 in 2009, and Microsoft paid 5,000 for, in today's dollars, this is a 7-figure bug, right? You know, in the browsers are much harder to pop into now, right? For the amount of time he spent to do what he did on IE and Firefox, he could have found and exploited 5 or 10 Safari bugs. With the way they're paying $5,000 for every verifiable bug, he could have spent that same time and resources and made 25 or 30 easily just by going after Safari on Mac. Okay? Several researchers said the reliable remote exploits for high-profile applications such as Internet Explorer bring as much as $100,000. This is from ZDI or iDefense, which is trying to buy bugs for, what they're doing. Dino and Alex, both independent security researchers, and it's clearly in the interest to condition vendors the practice of paying for bugs. In a blog post, Dino said that in addition to the monetary incentives, there's legal and practical reasons to not simply give bugs away. Okay, here is why I'm reading this today. Everyone, tap, 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 tap. Chat, is this thing on? If you go on the twitter.coms today, okay, and read anything about how Microsoft is reacting to security researchers disclosing vulnerabilities, read these couple of sentences. Have these sentences in your brain when you go on twitter.com today, okay? Reporting vulnerabilities can be legally and professionally risky. Does that resonate with anyone in chat in 2026? I feel like we've worked this out of our brain. I feel like reporting security vulnerabilities no longer, for a very long time, we Men in Black, flashy thinged, security vulnerabilities being legally or professionally risky, right? That does not resonate in my brain. That does not resonate in my brain in 2026, okay? 2009, absolutely. Let me paint the picture. I got one sentence into that important bullet, and I have to paint the picture, okay? 2009, I was pen testing, right? I was doing a pen testing gig. I switched from a pen testing consulting to an AppSec pen testing, as a service company called White Hat Security. We had software that early web vulnerability scanning tool. The 20 people that sat in the room that I got hired to sit in were manually verifying the bugs out of that scanner and then manually pen testing websites, okay? For our highest paying customers, they got manually pen tested besides just the security scanner, okay? When I got hired at a bit of a hiring boom into this room, the room went from single digit people to I don't know, 20 or 30 people when I was getting hired there, okay? So the founder, Jeremiah Grossman, who's an early AppSec pioneer legend in the space, he's still kicking around. He came into the room and talked to a bunch of us, young whippersnappers. Not all of us were young whippersnappers, but most of us were, because I think I was making $35,000. Okay, $35,000 a year to pen test websites in 2009. It was underpaid even then, trust me. But he came into the room, and I remember, I think both founders came in the room. I can picture it. They came into the weird hacking room that you needed an extra badge to get into, that like sales and accounting sat outside. They would just like peek glimpses in and like, what are those fucking hackers doing in there, right? And we all looked like this. We were like, right? That's what we did, you know? Anyway, but literally room of hackers, we were the only ones allowed in this room because it was like the sensitive thing that we were doing in there, right? And the two founders came in the room and they told us stories about friends of theirs that were in jail for doing what we were doing all day. Okay? They were like, hey, we would like to impart on you. We're going to teach you a skill set of how to hack website. You're going to learn, you know, to get really, really good at hacking websites by sitting in this room. Okay? And we did. Some of the people in the room are like heads of AppSec and CISOs nowadays. Okay? They said, hey, you're going to learn, you know, Liam Neeson. You're going to learn a dangerous set of skills, right? And they were imparting to us that we have legal permission to hack the websites of the customers that are using our system and everything. They were saying, please, 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 please do not do any of the things that you learned in here on any other website that you do not have permission to do that on. They told us the story of someone that they knew that was in jail for doing ... / at the end of a URL, which if you don't know is a precursor to early directory traversal attacks. That like sometimes websites would like, you could do ... / at the end of a URL and all of a sudden be requesting files higher up in the file system. Okay? This guy did ... and went to jail. Like in court, they were like, see this request in this log, it's ... from this IP address. That's a hackers do ... right? This is what they told us. Okay, I don't have like the source. I don't have like the guy and how he went to jail or anything like that. So this is, you know, a story that our bosses told us in the room at the time. That's okay. Get that 2009. Everyone there, 2026. Go put 9,000 ... into every website that you go to today, and nothing ever would happen. You could literally hack websites that you find today with AI agents, and nothing would ever happen. Right? Like nothing. Okay. But computer hacking was so fucking terrifying to people back then. They didn't know. So the laws were not caught up. And like when I remember telling people that I got paid $1,000 by Google because I like hacked them and like could have taken over a couple 100,000 Gmail accounts, and I told them about it. So they gave me $1,000, which was criminally low. Right. People were like, they're incentivizing hackers? Like they're paying hackers to do this? Okay. Is everyone UNC certified now? Chat UNC is chat UNC certified? Are we all feeling it? We all feeling it? 2009. Whew, everyone feel the Great Recession, the housing crisis. Gas is $6 a gallon. Wait a second. This feels really familiar. Okay. Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. YouTube is lagging. Oh no. Oh no. Sorry that YouTube's lagging. Okay. All right. I don't know why YouTube's lagging. Sorry. Is it like a really bad lag? You're feeling it in your knees. Okay. Certified UNC status. Feeling it in your knees. Okay. Everyone go pay $6 a gallon for gas to get really into the 2008, 2009 mindset. We're really cosplaying this or whatever, right? Actually, guys, hold on. Banger tweet idea. Banger tweet idea alert. Hold on. We're going to do it. Oh shit. Hold on. I have like a window full of tweets that we're going to read of everyone shitting on Microsoft all day. Oh my God. Every time I read, I'm bringing them into new tabs, and every time I open a new one, every time I open a new tab, I have a new tweet that I'm saving. And so now I have to open a new tab so I don't lose that. just to try to write a tweet. Okay. And then it's a thirst trap. Okay, good. We're good. Okay. Banger tweet alert, everyone. All right. Let's see. How do we want to word this? Everyone go out and pay $5 per gallon for gas today and then read about Microsoft calling security researchers criminals to really cosplay 2008. Who's a 2008 band? Mumford and Sons? Is Mumford and Sons a good 2008 call? Daughtry? Should we call Daughtry out? Oh, wait. Twilight soundtrack. Muse. Kings of Leon. Oh, that's it. Kings of Leon. Gonna play some Kings of Leon and foreclose on my house to really get into it. Why? Oh my God, brain. I need more coffee. Foreclose on my house to really get into it. Okay, banger tweet. Is this a banger? Certified banger, everybody? What do we think? Finger 11, Daughtry. I'm going Kings of Leon. I think this is a banger. All right. Over under on chat. If this doesn't break, what's the over under on Twitter engagement on this that you all owe me a coffee if it doesn't get? What's the over under? All right, let's go. I'm hoping Avicii. Ooh, RIP. All right. Post banger. All right. Literally, guys, let's go back to this blog post. We're going to just read tweets, just dragging this shit right now. Let me clear my schedule. I got tweet reading to do. Let's clear the schedule, everybody. Excuse me, hold all calls. Hold all calls and deliveries. I got Twitter shit posts to read about Microsoft today. That was my Mad Men impression. Reporting vulnerabilities can be legally and professionally risky. Everyone there? Everyone UNC 2009 certified? When a researcher discloses the vulnerability to the vendor, there is no whistleblower protection, and independent security researchers may be unable to legally defend themselves. So this shit happened all the time. If you found a vulnerability as a security researcher and told the company about it, they could sue you, and they did. They did. Like, this was a thing, okay? You may get threatened, sued, or even thrown in jail. A number of security researchers have had their employers pressured by vendors whom they were responsibly disclosing security vulnerabilities to. A number of security researchers have had their employers pressured by vendors whom they were responsibly disclosing security vulnerabilities to. Welcome. What's up, Woosah? Vendors expect security researchers to follow responsible disclosure guidelines when they volunteer vulnerabilities, but they are under no such pressure to follow responsible guidelines in their actions towards security researchers. Where are the vendor security researcher amnesty agreements? Okay. Guys, I'm reading a blog post from 2009. 2009. My office mates probably are like, what the fuck is this guy doing today? 2009 blog post. Hello. 2026. What's going on? It's unfair to paying customers. Professional bug hunting is specialized and expensive business. Software vendors that freeload on security research community place their customers at risk by not putting forth resources to discover vulnerabilities and fix their products. What's up, Wusa? Thanks for the follow. What's up, really? Oh, is that Rory? Is that you? Like, Rory? You chilling? But for this discussion, it's probably unnecessary to go beyond the financial argument. These researchers are performing a service by improving the quality of the security of the vendor's products, and it's a service that has a clear market value. If an affected vendor isn't interested in paying for a vulnerability, so be it. The researchers can then try to sell it to ZDI or iDefense or a government or other buyer. There's a lot going on in there. But the vendors shouldn't expect the bug finder to just hand over the details gratis. Those days are gone. Okay, another certified banger. Let's take this screenshot. Okay. It is you? What's up? I didn't know your Twitch handle. You've been in here at least once before too, right? Okay. Now, guys, I realize that I've been ranting for 31 minutes about this without actually reading the blog post that's affecting it. I just kind of assume that you all saw this drama because it's literally every time I reload Twitter today, right? What's up, BG? Thanks for subscribing. Now that I know Opus 4.8's probably coming out today. Is it out? Is it actually out? Fuck, please don't derail me. Is it out? Is it out? I know 4.8's coming out today. God damn it. It's out right now, 2 minutes ago. Doesn't Anthropic know that I'm ranting about Microsoft and can't fucking do this right now? Thanks, Colin. All right. Whatever. Guess what? There's going to be benchmarks. Doesn't Anthropic know that I'm on a generational rant about Microsoft? What's up, Barry? It's good to see you. I recognize your profile pic. You have my YouTube channel bookmarked. What's up, Wusa? Thank you. Yeah, my Twitch name is like an old gamer tag of mine. It's like bad for continuity, but here we are. Here we are. We're here. All right. Fuck. It's okay that you derailed. I don't like talking about it in the first couple of minutes that this shit comes out anyway, because we don't know anything, right? Guess what? Anthropic says it's really fucking good. Guess what? Benchmark numbers go higher up to the right, right? Imagine that. Imagine that. Benchmark numbers up and to the right. So what I'm interested in is tonight when like people try hacking with it. I'm busy ranting about Microsoft on stream right now. Someone please tell me if this is Mythos escaping the lab. End stream and play with it? No. Can we go back to what you were talking about? Yeah, we will. Microsoft security devs should resign. I didn't expect them to say that. Yo, Bingus, Kilobyte. I saw a bunch of you hanging out in Low Level's stream with me earlier today. Is Low Level still streaming? He got off stream and the bitch didn't raid me. He said he was going to raid me. That little bitch. I'm going to text him. All right. Everyone call Low Level a bitch for not raiding me with his 10x my number of concurrent viewers at all times. All right. I just kind of assumed that you all knew what I was talking about today. And that was a bad assumption. Did everyone in chat already see what's going on with this? There was a gap? No, there wasn't. Was there? If so, there was like, it must have been seconds because I was like in his chat and I quit and then I went live on OBS like minutes later. If so, that was a poor move by me. All right. Some of you haven't seen this yet. Okay. Some of you haven't seen this yet. So I think it's important to read this to you guys before we read. I hold on. Let's see if I can show you. If I hold this, if I do this, can you guys see my, yeah, I usually hide the sidebar. Can you guys see the sidebar now? Look how many tweets I have up to go through. This is all, every Twitter tab you see open on the left there is a tweet about Microsoft Security Response Center, okay? All right. So if you guys don't know, we covered it on stream, the researcher here, right? It's like the Nightmare Eclipse guy. And they were releasing these Red Sun, Blue Hammer, Yellow Key, Green Plasma, Mini Plasma. I didn't hear about Undefend, or at least it's not committed to memory, right? Man, and they didn't even put a name on this, just MSRC. So this researcher, if you guys don't know, got so annoyed with Microsoft Security and Response Center, this is MSRC, from disclosing vulnerabilities responsibly. He was trying to do the right thing, trying to responsibly disclose the vulnerabilities that they were finding. And they got so frustrated with how that process was going for a number of different reasons. There's a series of blog posts ranting about this. And literally every tweet that I have up on the left is sharing stories similar of people's frustration, right? They do all this work. They find a vulnerability. It's a legit vulnerability. They send it over. They don't hear anything. They get told it's a fucking dupe. They get told it's not a security issue where like that meets the bounty standard. And then they fucking fix it anyway, right? He got so sick of all this. He was like, fuck this. I'm putting everything that I find from now on, I'm putting on GitHub. Public GitHub. Public GitHub. Okay. So, they got big mad about this because guess what? And I understand the irony now, but this is the hoodie that I have in my office and it's chilly in here. I'm sorry. And deep down in my soul, I love GitHub. Like, I know GitHub's kind of losing its way as it like got assimilated to the Borg, and you know, they're not even on like 1.9 uptime right now. Never mind like 5.9s. You know, they maybe have got what 1.9, 2.9s uptime right now. I understand GitHub. I understand NPM having a rough time, getting beat up a little bit by the security community. I get it, okay? But Microsoft got big mad that this security researcher just started putting all of these POCs on GitHub. The details of these vulnerabilities were not shared with Microsoft prior to release, and the disclosure put our customers at unnecessary risk. So this is what's called public disclosure, right? The researcher did previously try to do responsible disclosure to Microsoft and got so fed up with that process that these particular vulnerabilities were part of kind of like a multi-week rant by the security researcher and just like, here, if you don't think that these are vulnerabilities worth paying for, then they must not be that big of a risk, and we must be able to just put them out publicly, right? That should be fine, right? Hello? Right, Microsoft? That should be fine. If they tried to responsibly disclose things and you deem them not a security risk worth any money, then what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here, right? Every year, we work with hundreds of security researchers through the Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure Program. The industry standard that asks researchers to share their findings with affected vendors to give them the opportunity to understand the impact and address it before the details are made public. I would also like to just point out the industry standard here is not like an obligation of any security researcher to follow, right? There's absolutely no obligation for security researchers, because you're calling this an industry standard, to like do this. Nightmare Eclipse didn't have their like SOC 2, you know? This is just a researcher. Okay, let's keep going. This partnership allows us to make updates to impacted services before proof of concept code can make it into the hands of bad actors. Right, because no POCs ever like wind up being used in the wild, and all patches come out before vulnerabilities ever get used through normal processes. Through this valuable partnership, we ensure researchers are compensated for their responsible disclosures and publicly acknowledged for their expertise. We'll get to that claim in a second, okay? I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 tweets to read about people trying to get compensated for their security research, okay? Ensures researchers are compensated for their responsible disclosures and publicly acknowledged for their expertise. Ladies and gentlemen of the journey, exhibit A through whatever the 16th letter of the alphabet soon will be admitted shortly. The vulnerabilities known as Red Sun, Undefended, Blue Hammer, Yellow Key, Green Plasma, Mini Plasma. Most of these were kind of like whatever vulnerabilities, but some of them were like a big deal, right? Which one was the BitLocker bypass? One of them was like people were thinking it was like actually put there as a purposeful backdoor. That's how bad it was. Okay. They were not responsibly disclosed. In response to the unnecessary risk created by these disclosures, our security teams have been working around the clock to understand the impact, protect our customers, and develop security updates. Yellow Key. Yellow Key was a BitLocker bypass. That was a pretty spicy one. I mean, none of them were great. None of them were like, oh, whatever. Like, you know, but they were kind of in that like area where I could see why the researcher probably was going to say like, hey, Microsoft's probably going to just, you know, not fucking pay me for these. We remain firmly opposed to these actions and any disclosure outside of proper coordination that could harm our customers in the digital ecosystem. Uncoordinated disclosures that put proof of concept code for unpatched vulnerabilities into the hands of bad actors are never justifiable and have real-world consequences. Our security teams across the company work tirelessly tracking threat actors who look for weaknesses just like these to attack Microsoft and our customers. Here's a line that we're going to talk about for the next entirely too long of stream. Our digital crimes unit will continue bringing cases against these actors and those that enable their criminal activity, coordinating it as needed with law enforcement around the world. All right, everybody, 2026, $5 gas, and Microsoft threatening their digital crimes unit for bringing cases against security researchers and those that enable their criminal activity. Okay, let's get into everyone reading the post in 2006. Let's just do a quick flip. Boom, 2009. 2009. No more free bugs. Reporting vulnerabilities can be legally and professionally risky. This was a 2009 sentiment. This shit has no place in 2026 security research. I'm sorry. I defend Microsoft, especially their security team, a lot. I really do. I think they have a very good security team. I truly do. I know some of the people. They're some of the best in the biz. Okay? I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know what's going on here. We invite diverse perspectives that help the security community work together to protect everyone. We realize that we will not always agree on everything, but we are committed to transparency and continue to create opportunities for dialogue. Yeah, okay. You're getting some fucking dialogue today, everybody. We got some dialogue to go through, okay? Let's do it. These are in no fucking order whatsoever. I don't even know what order I open these things in, okay? We got some dialogue to go through. Since Microsoft is open for dialogue, we got some dialogue. Everybody? We ready? My one goal right now, I'm streaming live on Twitter. I haven't always done that. My one goal is to pass the AI grifter guy that's above me yelling about Opus 4.8 in all caps, okay? That's it. It's not going to happen, but some executive has their tighty-whities and they're not. Yeah, maybe. That's their corporate lad, not their security team. Yeah, I don't know. This is published by MSRC. So like I can't defend the entire security team and this entire security apparatus of Microsoft entirely, right? I will go out and say, like I said, they've got some like really, really, really top of the industry talent that works there, like some friends of mine. And really just like top tier people. I like no one can dispute that, right? And I'd say that like some of their security products have done more for the security industry than a lot of other security vendors have done, right? When's the last time you installed antivirus? Okay, like Microsoft Defender truly changed the game. Okay, so we'll like bring the temperature down. This isn't just like Matt's gonna like rail on Microsoft. They're a massive company. There's good people and good products that come out of that world. This shit that we're talking about today is utter bullshit. Okay? Utter bullshit. Let's go through some security researchers. We're going to follow this person. This is a Microsoft security MVP. 3x Microsoft security MVP. That's not like this isn't someone that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to Microsoft, okay? Last time I dealt with MSRC, I found a command injection vulnerability present for a decade in context menus, not highly critical, but still exploitable. See my talk, shift happens. Okay. MSRC did not reward a bounty, nor did they attribute CVEs to this finding because this, quote, doesn't meet their criteria as a vulnerability that requires immediate security updates. However, it was fixed in the next fucking security update. Okay? I did not care much about the bounty, but since it has been fixed, issuing a CVE would have costed them nothing. I asked twice for the CVE. They refused twice. Okay? Let's keep going. My last submission to MSRC was for device guard bypass. I learned my lesson from prior drawn-out submissions, so I included a 90-day window this time. MSRC responded saying that it met their bar and that they would fix it, but asked me to withhold disclosure well past 90 days because they needed a few extra months to fix it. I agreed on the condition that they would issue a CVE, and they agreed. Again, I would like everyone to check my messages. Oh, Normie Media wants me to come talk to them about Microsoft? Thanks, Zach. I gave Zach so much shit yesterday. Not really. I didn't really give you shit, but... Wait a second. I was just giving Zach so much shit about going on this Andreessen Horowitz live stream yesterday. I have nothing against the Andreessen Horowitz live stream. It just was funny to see Zach over there, right? Zach, who we had on, recommended you to come today to discuss the MSRC drama. Talk soon. Should I do it? Should I do it? I gotta... Should I go on MTS? Yo, thank you for DMing me. Twitter DMs are so broken that I would have never seen that. It was in some like buried thing. It was in some buried folder. Otherwise, they'll get some loser. All right. Should I go on the MTS? Yeah, Opus 48 is coming up. Yeah, okay. What up, Ed? Ed, I was giving you shit earlier because you didn't raid my stream. I'm just kidding around though. Oh man. Wait, you were live? Yeah, I think so. I left your stream and then went live, I think. Someone else said there might have been a gap. It's all good, dude. I'm just fucking with you. I was in Ed's stream trolling and derailing him. I said, "Did you mandate everyone subscribe to our podcast?" All right, Zach. Thanks. How does this work? Like, am I about to like all of a sudden be live on this Twitter channel? I wonder if I should stay live on my YouTube at the same time. Ew, why am I nervous? Ugh. How many people watch that MTS thing now? How many people watch that? Oh, not that many. Oh, they're not. I thought they were way more mainstream media than when I was giving you shit yesterday. All right. They don't have too many people live right now. Might be in a few hours. You have no idea when they asked me. It was a few hours later. So it's just a Zoom link. I was thinking 3:30 to 4 Pacific time. What is that? 3:30, 4:30, 5:30? Yeah, I could do that. If that time works, let me know. A good email, send an invite and instructions for a casual one-on-one conversation. All right. If I agree to this, oh my God, am I like on Microsoft shit list forever? Forever? If I agree to this? No? All right, Ed, thanks. What's my, the company's so big, no one can meaningfully track. Yeah. No, I know. All right. I would go on. We could talk. I could talk for 20, 30 minutes over there about this and just kind of like what I'm talking about right now, right? Give the history of, hey, security researchers used to do this shit all the time for no money. Bug bounty like has come out. Like you can literally scroll today. Like we're going to keep going. I'm going to get a bunch more talking points in chat. All right, I'll fucking do it. I don't feel like very PR trained today, but you know, we can do it. All right, I'll do it. He already wrote me back. I guess I'm talking to the Australian guy, and that's why I got to do it late. All right, everybody. I'm gonna be on somewhat normie media, it seems, due to Zach Corman's fault. This is Zach Corman's fault. Wait. Every time I've opened Twitter, it's a banger about this topic that we're talking about today. I have so many tabs open. Real reason why you don't need any certifications to get into cybersecurity. TLDR, casually scrolling LinkedIn and found this. Certified OSCP, EWP, YouTuber hack the box. Serious question. Do any of his POCs even work? Banger, everyone. All right. Do you guys know the normie media that Zach and I are talking about? They're live right now, right? Do I follow them? Whoops. I don't know if I even follow them. I'm surprised that they're even going to wind up talking about this today because Opus 4.8 dropped. They are live right now. I do not follow them. That was why. Yeah, they don't get like a gazillion viewers live, right? Yeah, those are total views, 4820, right? Yeah, okay. All right. Ooh, that was dangerous. I just hit my Twitter home button live on screen. Man, I get some BS in my Twitter feed that could have oh God, it's all my Twitter feed has officially shifted from 100% Microsoft hate to 100% Opus 4.8 in an instant. All right, let's keep reading these funny ass stories about Microsoft trying to, like, the gist of the tweets that we're reading is that trying to work with Microsoft's actual, like, responsible disclosure platform is a fucking nightmare, right? And this is what's driving researchers back to public disclosure about them, right? Okay, so we're back to this one. Zach distracted me by getting me invited onto like a legitimate news program for some reason. My last submission to MSRC was for device guard bypass. I learned my lesson for drawn out submissions, included a 90-day thing. They wanted way more than 90 days. He said I wanted the CVE to agree to that. They agreed. After the agreed upon patch Tuesday, a few months later, I couldn't find any mention in the CVE's list. Why would the researcher even need to be like searching the CVE list? Like, shoot the guy a fucking email, right? So I reached out to Microsoft to inquire. It turns out they changed their minds, deciding it didn't meet their bar for servicing, yet they patched it anyway. Since it didn't meet the bar, they didn't issue a CVE. MSRC strung me along for a few extra months to keep me quiet and then broke their word. They could have at least bought me dinner first. The interaction left such a bad taste in my mouth that I don't really feel like interacting with them ever again. That's why I didn't publish any exploits and tools last year. Okay. I once submitted a couple of device card bypasses as well, received an email with CVE numbers to be assigned, and then got an email basically saying, we forgot to tell you, we've decided this actually isn't interesting at all. So that's a pattern. Okay. Let's go down. Let's keep going. Last time I dealt with MSRC, responsibly disclosed an issue with legacy auth that allowed me to spray passwords at redacted endpoint and avoid smart lockout. Receives email 5 months after initial case opening. Doesn't meet bar for servicing. Microsoft silently fixed. Case closed. Do we see a pattern? Do we see a pattern? Do we see a pattern? I wonder what it is. I like the part where they borderline imply they're going to take legal action against Nightmare Eclipse. Yes, we're going to believe you, the company known for doing shit like this, over the person who could have made a shitload by selling this, but just went this route. Okay, let's keep reading. Jadek says, this one sentence. This is the sentence that I just screamed into the microphone, right? This is dangerous territory right here. Researchers going full disclosure and threat actors are the same now. Our digital crimes unit will continue bringing cases against these actors and those that enable their criminal activity, coordinating as needed with law enforcement around the world. Okay, hold on. I would like to make my stance perfectly clear about full disclosure because I think I've been dancing around it, right? My stance is that, yes, there's this like agreed upon social contract that like was born from blood of doing this for free and getting sued and all this kind of shit from years, right? Going back to the early 2000s of, responsible disclosure, the 90-day window, bug bounty programs, actually rewarding security research. This was fought for, right? Like literally fought for. We had to drag these companies into the future about this. Okay. It also helps that a lot of these companies hired legitimate security researchers eventually. And so then a bunch of us were actually working there internally championing this kind of stuff. Like Katie Masuris at Microsoft, early days. Like she's got stories, man, about what she had to do to get Microsoft even to do the bug bounty stuff. She was the one that was there making it happen, right? The social contract of this whole 90-day thing is because this was like the 90-day thing was like a Googleism, right? And security researchers in and around the Google ecosystem, because Google was always like the good guy, bug bounty, like forefront person, and Microsoft was always the bad guy, like, had to be dragged into it, right? The social contract is that you don't do this shit that I'm reading, is your part of the social contract. Okay? So we don't fully disclose things. The reason that vulnerabilities would get fully disclosed by people, yeah, there's like some bragging rights stuff there. There's like some hacker street cred stuff there. But legitimately, I know, Google the good guy. I know. Give me soap. I'm sorry. But like they had a much bigger security research team and like we're paying bug bounties, much bigger, larger stuff earlier in this whole history lesson here. Okay. But this whole 90-day thing, the social contract means the full disclosures were the only way that security researchers could get this shit patched back then. Because a lot of times we would send emails about vulnerabilities. I was this guy. I've done tons of responsible disclosure in my life. Let me make this clear. I used to be a pretty prolific vulnerability researcher. Like I did this for a living, right? If you send a vulnerability disclosure to a company and they do not, A, acknowledge, fix, and reward you, you are not upholding your end of the social contract. So back before the bug bounty wars, I feel like I'm talking about the clone wars, right? Before the bug bounty wars and the no more free bugs and everything, if you wanted something fixed and truly fixed, like Adobe was the worst. Adobe, you would send shit to Adobe and it would never get fucking fixed, right? So if you wanted an Adobe Reader 0-day actually fixed in a timely manner, like this year, you had to fully disclose it. You had to drop it publicly, because then guess what? They would take action. Adobe would be like, oh shit, we got to fix this. There's POC code on the internet. We better fix this right now. And they would prove to you that it's possible, that all of a sudden this is a security flaw that they could fix right now. Okay? The social contract is you're going to fix this on a timely manner and reward the security researchers. Otherwise, there's no reason for security researchers to not fully disclose. And you cannot bucket this shit in with the same hands of threat actors. You're saying that the security researcher is putting the POC in the hands of the attacker, as if we think the attacker is incapable of finding the same flaw? In the age of mythos? Mythos! We think that the attacker is unable to find the flaw? The point of responsible disclosure or full disclosure is to fix the fucking vulnerability and reward the security researcher's time, because this is a skill set that requires many, many hours and years of expertise, or a bucket of AI tokens that you're going to light on fire nowadays, right? So I want to make it clear. I do not think that full disclosure is an unethical path if you are not upholding your end of the social contract on vulnerability disclosure. Is my stance clear now? I don't know. I don't know if I'm right. But that's my stance, all right? Good? Good? Chat, you're awfully quiet when I'm fucking screaming over here. All right? Awfully quiet. We good? We good. Let's keep reading these funny fucking tweets. Very clear. How does responsible disclosure even work with AI agents autonomously finding and potentially disclosing vulns? Yeah, I mean, we're in a whole different world. The fact that we're like literally, like this is a sentence out of 2009. I'm going to flip. Everyone, tell me the difference between these two pictures. I'm going to flip. Okay. 2026. Our digital crime units will continue bringing cases against threat actors. 2009. Reporting vulnerabilities can be legally and professionally risky. Okay. That's my next. Yeah, I forgot to tweet those two screenshots out. Let me tweet those screenshots out. All right. Second screenshot, two screenshots, one from 2009, one from Microsoft in 2026. Evidence-based rant. Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. Opus 4.8, we need a mythos.wave. Opus 4.8's out. Mythos! Is it mythos? Will it mythos? All right, let's keep going through these stories because this is fucking crazy, man. I just can't fucking believe this. Sorry, Colin, I saw you say some stuff and I missed it. What'd you say? It feels like the devaluation of labor are taking the identity and culture with it. Huge difference between can and should. There's no reciprocity right now. It feels like the you doubled. Oh, you tripled. Okay. I was reading. I scrolled up to. I was like, I saw you post some stuff. I was like, oh, let me scroll up. I didn't realize. Yeah, I completely agree, dude. There's a social contract when it comes to expecting responsible disclosure, and you're breaking it. And then threatening legal action when the other side is also just like, hey, you're not abiding by the social contract. All right. This Twitter account. After MSRC blog post, researchers are coming forward with their own stories. Yeah, this is what we're going to go through. MSRC post titled "A Shared Responsibility." A shared responsibility. They're saying it in their own title of their article. It's a shared responsibility. It's a shared social contract. And we're sitting here scrolling through you breaking that contract. Like, what the fuck? Nightmare Eclipse. Yeah, this claim is contested. Okay. Whoo, bring my blood pressure down. Saying the vulnerability details were not shared with the company before release. The claim is contested. Nightmare Eclipse says that Lise Bluehammer wasn't a blindside. April 15th signed post, the actor said MSRC was fully aware of the disclosure that had a case had been filed. Oh, yeah. I forgot that the thing that started this whole fucking mess was one of these being responsibly disclosed and punted on by Microsoft. So they were like, fuck it. If you're punting on it, I'm putting that out and I'm putting that out. Microsoft's new post gives no per CVE timeline, so right now the public record has 2 conflicting versions. Whoo! Okay. Microsoft never printed the handle Nightmare Eclipse, but by naming all 6 vulnerabilities left no doubt. Yeah, of course. Like, who cares? The company says its security teams have been working around the clock. Digital crime unit. The case for coordinated disclosure is straightforward. The point of giving a vendor advance notice is not to protect the vendor. It's to protect the people running the software. Period. Print it. Print it on a fucking t-shirt and wear it to Blue Hat. Patch before POC means defenders get a head start. POC before patch hands it to attackers. That does not make the tension one-sided. Researchers walk away from coordinated disclosure for reasons. Slow fixes, disrupted severity, no credit, no payment, broken trust, deleted reporting accounts. Nightmare Eclipse claims Microsoft revoked access to the MSRC account that he used to report bugs, wiped it, and ignored requests for an explanation. Microsoft's post does not address this. It says only that it still welcomes submissions from anyone through its public research portal, regardless of past interactions or reputation. Gosh, guys, this is rough, man. The entitlement and audacity from Microsoft lately is breaking my brain. What do you mean you're worth $3 trillion and you're so mad that random hackers won't do free work for you that you're trying to get them arrested? Oh, Zach's here. Microsoft paid $17 million in bug bounties last year, which, when you think about it, is comically absurdly low. Yeah, agreed. They have dropped the facade that they built over the last decade. Remember, these companies are trillion-dollar empires relying on the goodwill and patience of hackers for too long. MSRC has forced many of us to turn our back on responsible disclosure and proven that the only meaningful method to change is full disclosure. As Charlie once said, oh so well, no more free bugs. Adam knows ball. Adam knows ball. Adam knows ball. I'm following everyone tweeting about this week. Oh, Aaron's here. Also, these days, even more bugs are shallow. So waiting 30, 90, 120 to fix things is crazy. Some patching does take true time, but really that's the devices or weird targets. For a random component in a mainstream OS or a software package, you need to go faster. Completely fucking agree. What up, Nightcry? Yeah, not to mention patching and applying those patches can only go so fast. Much of a human problem. A problem with required reboots or patches to a software. Yeah, exactly. You got to get this shit out the door. You got to get this shit out the door. All right, Solst, what's up? Friend of mine, Twitter friend of mine. 17 million. Microsoft is one of the reasons we still have the bug bounty market. Yeah. The sole purpose of disclosure is letting the vendor know and then communicating the risk well enough that they can make the right call around remediation. Everything else is theater. I don't give a shit about CVEs. Imagine pen testers asking for CVEs enough through their findings. Yeah. The only thing, like the one thing that I'll say here is like, for a lot of people, getting a CV in their name is like early career lubricant, right? It's like, oh shit, I gotta get this done. So I get it, right? Like you want the resume boost if you're doing this kind of work. I also don't give a shit about CVs. I've never even tried to go to CV in my name for any of the vulns that I found. So I also don't care. But I do understand people caring. I do. LZ, in recent weeks, several zero-day vulnerabilities have been publicly disclosed. The details of these vulnerabilities were not shared with Microsoft prior to release. These vulnerabilities are known as Red Sun, blah, blah, blah. Were not responsibility disclosed. I think LZ is saying like that's not what happened. Oh, these are the blogs from the person. Not important, but tomorrow will be one of the hardest days of my life. Wish me luck. I mean, yeah, they're under the legal gun here, right? Is everything being microservices rather than monolithic making getting shit out of the door harder or easier? Should be easier, right? It's highly siloed in that case. Okay, so let me get this straight. When I actively asked you to communicate with me, you refused, humiliated me, and made sure to insult me in front of people. You defamed me in public with your CVE advisory, even though you literally deleted the Microsoft account I used to report the bugs to you with, and I got 0 pennies from doing so, and I still happily did like an idiot. Now you take the courtesy to flag my GitHub account and wipe it out of the public just like that. You are proving to everyone that you are actively escalating this conflict, but I'm done begging you. I might sound like a crazy idiot who's whining around, but I have proof of every single word I said. I just can't release it yet. Why? Microsoft still has the chains in my hands. It's been like this for years, and I can't stay silent anymore. I hope I can release the documents soon. Mark this date, July 14th. I will make sure your bones are shattered that day. Nothing will be released this June, or maybe I will release something depending on circumstances. Also, CVE, this is Undefend CVE, this is Red Sun, and here's my new GitLab account. Dear Microsoft, saying that I violated vulnerability disclosure best practices is defamation of my personal reputation. You already told me you will defaming me, and doing it in public will not help dissolve this conflict. You intentionally revoked my access that I used to report vulnerabilities to you. When I asked you, you went ahead and completely wiped the account from existence, despite multiple attempts from asking for an explanation. All of those requests went unanswered by the MSRC leadership. Woo! This is crazy, man. 4D gifts. This is like one of my oldest Twitter follows, and I don't know how to pronounce their name. I'm sick and tired of this MSRC passive-aggressive bullshit. Remember, it's time to end information anarchy? Oh, yes, it feels like we're going back to that era. See, everyone who was around back then is feeling the nostalgia, right? Wait, what's some of the replies? This might carry more weight if they didn't continually ghost security reports, fail to fix when reported, and basically act like vulnerability researchers work for them. Yes, Corey. Yes. The oh my gosh, let's bring it up. Where did I say it? The industry standard has two sides to this social contract, right? IRC, yeah. Was in my last months of high school. Oh, I think you're watching on a delay. I think you're answering something from a few hours ago, the 2009 bit. All right. What else? Responsible disclosure requires a responsible company to receive it. Oh my God. Keith, taken out of my mouth. I already follow you. I was about to follow you. Oh my gosh. That's it. IRC. Yeah. You're right. No. I was talking the last months of high school chat came through. I think that was delayed. Francisco, I got you. I know what you were saying. Sorry, Keith, that was exactly well said. It was never meant to be some abusive relationship where these companies demand and we all have to acquiesce. We can all agree that MSRC can be difficult to deal with at the best of times. Given that they chose to personally cause issues for this researcher, I can understand why he chose this path. Microsoft's choice of deplatforming him just shows that they're willing to take down the accounts and get personal when it suits them. If it's a TOS violation, then there's a bunch of accounts who should have been taken down as well. If it's targeted, then the question should be for everyone. What arbitrary line do you have to cross? Ultimately, we have a company that does not act in the public good, demanding that you interact with it in the ways that they want, or else they'll cripple your ability to work on modern infrastructure that powers the web, like GitHub. Right? This is incredibly well said. Incredibly well said. I'm like saving every tweet here. Yeah, Corey's right. Keith is right. Dangerous to raw scroll the comments on live here. Sure is comfy for them up in the $1 trillion tower yelling down at a person who tried to warn them ethically, but whose words they couldn't hear from the stratosphere. It's rough, man. All right, what else we got? A single packet. Oh, this is a tweet from May 22nd that Remy went back today and responded to, and that's why I saw it. So a single packet could permanently disconnect a client from connecting to the server under default settings, and MSRC rated it moderate severity. What a day. I'll disclose later. They said it'll be addressed in a future release, but no credit and no bounty. What's up, Portbuster? Portbuster, I never know what account you're going to be chatting from on what platform. You're a moving target, man. Portbuster's got like 3 Twitch accounts that he signs in from. Sometimes he's on YouTube. Today he's on Twitter. And he's on Twitch. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Fucking ninja mode. All right. VX Underground is taking screenshots. I'm saving everything too. Let's try to read some of these. Can we see this? Kinda. Oh, I gotta like. Can we see this? Kinda. MSRC coming in hot with the unprecedented astronomical level of psychotic delusion. Are we responsible for our terrible reputation? No, it is the community that is at fault. We already read that one. This guy, that covers most of us making OST. Reminds me of a favorite story when some shit at Microsoft emailed my employer demanding I take down a blog about spoofing 355 emails. The blog remains. Shame I've dealt with the same, and it kind of demotivated me to report any bugs. They were burning O-Days by disclosing to Microsoft. The joke there is that's not what burning a 0-day is, okay? Burning a 0-day is not disclosing publicly or to Microsoft, all right? This any drama has been in your feed. Like I mentioned the other day, Meta calling ASRC not a security bug. Yep. I don't know who needs to hear this, but your research is your intellectual property, not the vendor's intellectual property. You can do whatever you want with that IP, reporting it, publishing it, selling it to a third party, or putting it in a box under your bed. This is quite a post. I honestly don't know offhand. Has Microsoft as a company ever before suggested in any official statement that it might seek to have criminal charges brought against security researchers who drop O-Days? Oh, my sweet summer child. Yes. Yes. Big L for Microsoft. Nobody has a moral obligation to hand over their hard-earned discoveries for free. Pay up or shut up. You are owed nothing. You will get nothing by stomping your feet like a petulant child because this is an unnecessary risk that forced its security teams to work around the clock to understand, protect customers, and develop patches. God forbid your people do their jobs and it costs you more money than paying the researcher. Good. I suggest anyone either disclose them publicly to light a fire under Microsoft's ass or keep them to yourself. Make them feel the pain of not paying out appropriately to save them time. They have pulled the doesn't meet servicing criteria, then patch it the next update one too many times for valid bugs. That's it. That's the social contract. Like, you can't keep saying this doesn't meet our criteria for a CVE. We're not going to pay you a bounty and then patch it to the next life cycle. You can't. Do you know if by doing what Nightmare Eclipse did, can he go through legal? Hell yes. Hell yes. Okay. Can anyone go through legal problems? The answer is yes. Okay. Have you ever sent anything to a lawyer for comment and got a response back that said, no, nothing on our end? No. Microsoft has an army of lawyers that is ready based on an email to be like, yeah, we're going to fucking cease and desist and sue the shit out of this guy. Even if none of it holds up in court. Who the hell is this researcher? Are they even American? Are they, like who we have no idea. Like, are they actually going to like serve consequence? No, what they did is not illegal or a felony. Let me be clear. Like, what they did is fine. Like, they did research and put it on their GitHub. There's like nothing that's like whatever. No. But like, yeah, they could throw the fucking book at him and make their life hell. So you spent a year finding a high impact vulnerability. Yes, Dave. And you disclosed it responsibly for $5 in a t-shirt. That's correct, Dave. Dave Ramsey. Microsoft will do anything to stop people posting 0 days except fix MSRC. MSRC puts out a statement about recent 0-day foreclosures by Nightmare Eclipse. I thought the bans on GitHub, GitLab seemed targeted. This statement appears to confirm my suspicions. What's next? MSRC swatting researchers? Our digital crime units will continue bringing cases against actors that enable criminal activity. This is fucking insane. Remember, these companies are trillion-dollar empires. Yeah, we already read that one. I sent MSRC multiple zero-click attack vectors resulting in arbitrary file directory creation and heap overflow. They said won't fix as legacy technology. It was NT4 2025. I sent them a privilege escalation attack vector that broadly weakened the operating system, and they marked it as moderate. Thanks for whoever just subscribed. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate you. Microsoft ridiculed a researcher reporting very serious bugs to them, then deleted his account, and no bug bounties were paid. These should be high payouts. Now Microsoft is threatening legal action and speaking as if researchers' proof of concept code is illegal. It's not. This is because the unappreciated researcher released more 0-day vulnerabilities on his own and had those GitLab accounts banned. They were serious enough that Microsoft is scrambling to fix them, but they weren't serious enough to be paid or recognized. Instead, they were ridiculed. News of Nightmare Eclipse exploits are everywhere, but you can read their own blog posts. Yep. Bug bounties never work. When you submit, the company simply has to say, we know about this bug and are working on it, but did not disclose it to the public. Thank you. When in reality, they didn't, and now they know, and they will fix it, and they don't have to pay. Yeah, I mean, companies can do this and do this, right? Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry. I was just reading shit. Full camera. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize I was not full camera. Bug bounties never work. When you submit, they can just say, we know about it, and they don't have to fix it. Yeah, but if you do this for too much, like the whole fucking point of bug bounties is incentivizing high quality security researchers that you cannot hire full-time on staff, right? So like, if you keep doing this, you are not going to continue to get high quality security researchers doing this shit to you. And at worst, you're going to get dragged for a fucking news cycle about how shitty you are to security researchers. Of all the frustrating experiences I've had with MSRC, the ones like Gabriel were by far the worst. These days, I only report bugs when there's genuinely compelling reason, and those reasons are finite. Otherwise, I'm perfectly happy sitting on my 0 days for another time. And this is the point that I would like to get across. The fact that you're saying that putting the POC in attackers' hands is making people unsafe is pretending like the attackers can't find that 0 day by themselves. It's bullshit. The point is the vulnerability exists, and we would like it fixed as soon as possible because we are running on your fucking operating systems. So we want the bugs fixed as soon as possible. Because even without my POC on GitHub, the attackers can find the same vulnerabilities if I can find them. Especially in the age of mythos, right? Like, we can't be pretending that like 0 days cannot be found. We cannot be acting like that. We can't, especially with AI. We can't. So of course this is what's happening, right? Half of OffSec lives on platforms whose TOS prohibit half of OffSec. This is basically saying like GitHub is claiming that it was just a terms of service violation that like brought them down. And he's like, cool, then the whole offensive security industry should be banned from like all of these platforms. Later, Francisco. Root shell, packet storm, millworm, hack Cozier. Figured this out 20 years ago. Maybe it's time to stop pretending GitHub, GitLab is neutral infrastructure. Stack Overflow literally prohibits posting Stack Overflows. Claiming that like security research is why it was banned off of GitHub is just such banana pants. What else we got? Oh, we got Opus 4.8. Real reason why you don't need certifications. This person's like, do any of those POCs work? The joke here being, if you have all those certifications, you should be able to fucking test the POCs. Like, they're there. All right, I'm out. I think I'm out of tweets. I'm out of tweets. All right. My blood pressure is high. And man, do I have the energy to go through? Can I bring the energy back up to make a YouTube video about this topic? I wish that the YouTube videos that I cut out of my live streams were good enough. They're not. They're just not. Oh my gosh. What do we even talk about now? Opus 4.8? Can I offer a unique, refreshing, and accessible perspective on the subject? If so, do it. If not, play Minecraft. I don't know. Is the last hour and a half of stream a unique perspective on this on the topic? I don't know. I don't know. Oh my God, man. All right. Casey wrote a blog post about it. Yeah, definitely make a video on this. All right. Oh, you read that like I was being snarky. Oh, no. I didn't take it as snarky. I thought it was like actually advice. Casey wrote a good blog post about this. Everyone has a take on this vuln drop. This was from a few weeks ago. Not even about this vuln, right? So like someone dropped some vulns, blah blah blah. The coordinated until it isn't. Casey is the founder of Bugcrowd. Okay, the asymmetry at the heart of disclosure. I've been thinking about this problem more than a decade. Yeah, Casey has put more thought into vulnerability disclosure than most people running a bug bounty company, right? The vendor cannot, in practice, be sued by the researcher. Before the lawyers freak out here, yes, a researcher absolutely could sue a vendor, but as anyone who's ever been involved in litigation will quickly tell you, lawsuits almost always turn into war rooms of attrition, and the deepest pockets last the longest. The vendor cannot be arrested by the researcher. The vendor cannot have a CV assigned against its will, because in many cases, the vendor is the CNA numbering authority for its own products. The vendor cannot be doxxed, fired, deported, or bankrupted by the researcher. The researchers can experience all of those things at the vendor's hands, or at the hands of a regulator the vendor is aligned with, or at the hands of a customer who has been told the researcher is the problem. This is not a moral claim about who is good and who is bad. It is a structural claim where the leverage sits. Coordinated disclosure, as we currently practice, is a system in which one party carries almost all of the legal risk, all the reputational risk, all the time cost, and all the silencing pressure, and the other party carries effectively none until they decide to actually engage with the vulnerability submission itself. That system runs, when it runs at all, on researcher goodwill. Researchers absorbing risk that vendors don't in exchange for what is supposed to be fair process is the substrate underneath every disclosure norm we have. Is that a fucking delicious paragraph? Casey, this is what thinking about something for over a decade gets you. Being able to spit out hot fire. Who are the 5 best rappers of all time? Dylon spits hot fire. Holy shit, Casey. Fantastic. Casey was an unk and texted me yesterday that he was watching my Twitter live stream but couldn't figure out how to write in the Twitter chat. So Casey, I don't know if you're still here being an unk who can't respond in chat, but fucking fire. When the fair process stops being fair, the goodwill runs out. That is the thing that's happening here. It's the thing that's happening across our field. I would like to make it clear, this blog post is not about the topic we're talking about today. This is not about Nightmare Eclipse. This is about Citrix. Like, oh God. That's the thing that's happening here. It's also the thing that's happening across our field slowly in dozens of places at once. Every researcher who quietly decides that it isn't worth it anymore walks away from a finding without ever telling anyone they had it. Moksha is conspicuous because he is loud. The much larger phenomenon is silent. Citrix is not unique here. Citrix is typical. The bounty exclusion of Zen Server, the downgrading of CVE and CVE against public technical pushback, the structural conflict of interest of acting as your own CVE numbering authority. Those are documented behaviors. They're not exotic ones. There are at least a dozen vendors I could list with similar records, and I suspect anyone who's done much vendor-side disclosure work could double the list. That's the frame. The 4 decisions. The 4 decisions of a security researcher. Going public at all, going public with no embargo period, refusing to share patches with Citrix specifically, the Citrix branding around this whole thing. Each of these has different defensibility, a different set of beneficiaries, and a different set of costs, and a different precedent. If you collapse them into a single yes or no, you get hot take. If you keep them separate, you actually think about what actually happened. Okay, so do you have a take about security researchers going public at all? Do you have a take about security researchers going public with no 90-day embargo period? Or 30-day or 120-day or whatever? Do you have a take about the security researchers not sharing patches with Cisco specifically? Do you have a take when the security researchers make a website about their vuln and brand the people and drag them and shame them? This one's easy. Going public after vendor channels have demonstrably failed is not an arbitration. It's a safety valve that makes the rest of the system work. It has 25 years of established precedent. It's recognized by every credible disclosure norm document. The alternative, a world in which researchers who hit vendor stonewalls have no recourse, a world in which vendor stonewalls have become the dominant equilibrium, public disclosure is what disciplines vendors who would otherwise have no incentive to ship. Take it away and the entire model collapses. So on the question of whether Moksha was justified in going public at all, given the vendor record that he documented, yes. Not interesting. Move on. Excuse me, just flipping back. Our digital crime units will continue to bring cases against these actors as they enable criminal activity. Versus, shit, where'd the blog post go? Versus, hey, public disclosure has 25 years of established precedent. It's recognized by every disclosure norm document. If the researcher hits a vendor's stonewall, public disclosure is the norm, is the industry standard to keep you on your shit. As I flip back to the Microsoft threatening legal fucking action against this. Decision 2, day 0, no embargo, right? So you went public with giving them no time period. This one's contested, but sits inside the field's existing norms, even if it sits on the loud edge of them. The case for day 0 here is the vendor's prior behavior, right? So not based on like the vendor stonewall and then I went public. Day 0, no embargo means the vendor's prior behavior is partially to blame. The bounty exclusion, the severity downgrades, the CVE numbering authority conflict, the unanswered MITRE filings is exactly the kind of pattern that the loud edge of norm exists to address. If a vendor demonstrates that it will use embargo time to minimize the severity of the disclosure, then giving the vendor embargo time is helping the vendor blunt the disclosure, not helping customers patch or mitigate their risks. The case against day 0 here is that 15 days from MITRE filing to release in practice is not very long. MITRE's queue regularly runs longer than that without any sinister thing happening, and CISA pre-notification, which has been a viable escalation when vendors' CVE numbering authority is the conflicted party, does not appear to have been part of the timeline. There were paths that could have been tried. The 15-day window is real and is a weakness in Moksha's stated rationale. But day 0 in this context, with this vendor that is exhibiting this pattern, is not novel. The Overton window of disclosure norms has been a published edge and a quieter edge. And what Moksha did sits within both. We can argue about whether he should have waited another month. We cannot honestly argue that what he did was outside the field's existing range of defensible response. I land on defensible, with a note that the timeline should have included CISA, not a load-bearing decision. Move on. Geez, Casey, I don't read long blog posts word for word on stream very often. This is fucking awesome. Refusing to share the patches with Citrix. This is a load-bearing one. It's the one that is genuinely new, and the one this whole post is really about. Because usually security researchers don't develop patches, right? We're talking patches, not vulns. Moksha developed the patches, 19 upstream OCaml patches, roughly 200 lines addressing the RBAC enforcement and input validation across writable map fields that anchor the entire 89 vuln set. He kept them private. He offered them conditionally to Vates, the maintainer of XCP-NG, with the explicit constraint that they not be shared with Citrix through any coordinated framework. Vates didn't respond before publication. Casey's mad at you currently. Casey's good people. Don't figure it out with Casey. He's good people. The argument behind this move, and Moksha articulates it directly, is that Cloud Software Group has documented record of using patch information to minimize severity of discourse. If a vendor will weaponize the patch into a low severity CVE assignment, providing the patch to that vendor undermines the disclosure itself. The point of disclosure is to inform customers about risk. The point of withholding the patch from a vendor that will downgrade the risk in its public communications is to preserve the disclosure's signal. I want to steal man for a minute, because I think it deserves it. The CVE's downgrade is not hypothetical. It happened. It was technically wrong, and the public pushback at the time did not move the needle. Citrix controls CVE assignment for Citrix. They control the severity scoring, and they control the customer-facing communication. A researcher who hands a patch into that pipeline is handing leverage to a vendor that has already shown it will use that leverage to minimize, not maximize, customer awareness. Holy shit. This is like This is the alternate path to go down versus what Microsoft. You didn't say you were mad at him. Oh, yeah, I got you. From inside that frame, refusing to provide the patch internally consistent with the goal of make customers actually understand what they have running. Now the harder part, the cost of withholding the patch falls on customers, specifically Citrix Zen server customers who patch through Citrix's official channel, which is most of them. Now they have to wait for a fix that the researcher has built and is deliberately preventing the vendor from shipping. Okay, so this is a good point. But Citrix Zen server customers can't benefit from this channel. Detection is published openly, which is the right call, but detection is not patching. Knowing your Zen server host is exploitable does not by itself fix it. Right. Customers in this scenario are bystanders. They did not stonewall the researcher. They did not downgrade prior CVEs. They are downstream of a fight between a researcher and a vendor, and the chosen tactic in that fight has the effect of leaving them on the public disclosure side of the line without a patch on the other side. That's a real cost, and the people who sympathize with Moksha's position should not pretend it's not a real cost. Here's the part that should make us all uncomfortable. Moksha's decision will be cited, and will be cited two ways. It will be cited by the next good faith security researcher facing a vendor behaving similarly as evidence that there are escalation paths beyond the broken coordinated channel that is a legitimate use of this precedent. It will also be cited by the next bad faith vendor making the case to roll back researcher safe harbor protections. See, researchers can and will withhold remediation as a tactic. We need stronger protections from them, from the security researchers. That is a cynical use of precedent. Both citations are predictable. We do not get to wish away the second one because we like the first one. I land on the most coherent argument and the most uncomfortable consequence are both present in the same decision and they don't cancel out. Jesus Christ, this is great. The branding. I love a good troll as much as the next netizen, and the shit tricks framing is satisfying. It is also part most likely to undercut the technical seriousness of the work in audiences that would otherwise be allies, the regulators, general counsel, CISO, board meetings, exactly the people who shape whether researchers get treated as legitimate party in future regulatory frame. Vulnerability marketing is a whole weird and wonderful world that we won't dive into here, but suffice to say the branding decision like this one almost always is a double-edged sword. Technical work was rigorous. 89 advisories, machine-readable JSON, CVSS scoring, root cause grouping, semantic identifiers. This is not spray some random POCs at the vendor. It's a systematic audit of a single bug class across an object model. The branding is a separate choice, and the branding is performative. Take it or leave it. I'd leave it. But it isn't the story, and people who make it the story are letting the vendor off the hook, but the underlying behaviors that produce the disclosure. I'm not going to pretend the math is clean. The defenders who got the detection with no NDA are better off than they were the day before. This is real. The retro hunt window, go look at the audit log for the last 90 days using the published patterns is a valuable thing, and disclosure enables that would not have existed under an embargo. The customers waiting for a Citrix, shipped patch are worse off than they would have been under a coordinated timeline that produced one. This is also real. And the assumed compromise has already occurred, framing operationally correct given the 16 to 20 year exposure window. Does not dissolve the marginal harm of dropping the playbook publicly on Wednesday for an attacker who didn't have it on Tuesday. That's true. The research community, depending on which research you ask, either better off because the asymmetry got named or worse off because the next vendor will use it as ammunition. What would actually fix this? The asymmetry can't be patched by asking researchers to be more patient. It is structural and needs structural fixes. For example, the cryptographic disclosure commitments that don't depend on the researcher staying alive, unsued, unbankrupted, and uncoerced. Vendor accountability scoring that is actually scored by a body and not by the vendor. CVE pipeline reform that does not let conflicts in CVE numbering authority grades to their own products. None of these are my ideas. People in the field have been talking about them for years, and I have a longer essay going about this. Coordinated disclosure works when it works because the researcher chooses it. The day it stops being a rational choice for the researcher is the day it stops working. We are not very far from that day, and the only honest response to the Moksha case is to stop pretending we are. All right. I don't usually read blog posts like that word for word, but that was fucking fire. All right. Should I record a video? I'm going to record a video. Casey, absolute fire. Absolute fire. Let's get this on Twitter real quick. We'll record a video summing up this whole thing, and then we'll move on for the day, okay, everybody? And then I'm going to go on a news show, apparently. Do it live so we see the process. Yeah, I usually do. I usually do at least one of my YouTube videos live. I won't go off. All right. This is a very important 2 paragraphs. This is a very, very, very important 2 paragraphs. So we're going to tweet it. All right, let's do the whole thing. Sorry. Oh, I thought I was sharing my tweet I was writing on screen, and I'm just sharing the blog post. I was just tweeting this. Woo! Oh my gosh. All right. My Twitter's kind of blown up of random shit. Guys, my goal on Twitter Live today was to pass the AI scam people yelling about Opus 4.8. And they, of course, have lapped me. All right, sorry, I was catching up on some tweets. We're going to record a video. We're going to do it live. I don't really have like a script or a story outline. I think I have enough content that we just went through to record the YouTube video. Just me yelling about this. And then I'm going to go on a news show, apparently, and talk about the same thing in 2 hours. All right. Sorry. Twitter demanded some attention. Every time I reload Twitter, it's someone else telling a story about how hard it's been to work with my Microsoft Security Center. Like quite literally every time I reload Twitter, I get a new post bitching about what it's like to work with them. All right. What's the order of this video? The order of this video is Nightmare Eclipse. No, it's probably the blog post today. I don't really want to talk too much about the vulns themselves in the same video. I think it's derailing the topic. You know what I mean? All right. Okay, so I think order of operations of I'm gonna hide you, chat. Gotta hide you. So we're gonna record. I think order of operations is this post, right, to set the stage, and then probably okay. Let's put them in order. Not this one. Not that one. Let's put them in order of what I want to cover. Where's the one with all that big ass picture of all the tweets? Yeah, this one. I think this is a good like first, hey, and Twitter exploded, right? What up, Kilobyte? All right, so we'll go this. Twitter exploded. We're gonna go through. Yeah, that one's good. That one's good. That one's good. This is the dangerous sentence. By the way, he even contests that he's doing it. No more free bugs. Okay, the history lesson. Where does the history lesson go in the scheme of things? Probably like right after, like, hey, Twitter's exploded, right? And then we can go through some tweets, and then we're going to finish on Casey's blog post, right? All right, cool. So here's the part in the live stream where most of the lurkers just evaporate. I don't know why, but people are like, "We're not gonna watch this fucking guy film a YouTube video." It happens, but it's okay. Because other than that, I would just end. If I didn't record this on stream, I would end stream right now to go record. So for those of you who want to hang out, we're gonna hang out. But watch my viewers cut in half right now. Someone yelled at me to start drinking my coffee out of a straw because otherwise it stains your teeth. And that's been an earworm now. To the end with you, brother. See you in Valhalla. All right. Should I hide the fact that I'm wearing a GitHub hoodie in this video? Should I make it mysterious? Is that a GitHub? Is that an Octocat? Yeah, you got to bounce. See ya. If you got to leave, no worries. No one's ever obligated to be here. I appreciate all of you for your time. Mythos. Mythos. Man, I just have to close my Twitter window over here. It's so distracting. There's just so, like, it's just infinite MSRC stories. Too distracting. Mythos. I should censor it, obviously, in like an obvious way. like, like in post, I should have my editor like blur it out and like with like a blurred, like not GitHub thing or something. What up, Francisco? Francisco, sorry, I had to hide chat. We're going to record a YouTube video about this Microsoft thing before I go on the news and talk about it. I'm like glad that I sat here and just talked for the last hour about this topic, or 2 hours about this topic. Because now I'm like super confident to go on this news news show and talk about it. Glad to be here for the recording. Yeah, of course. All right, let's do the damn thing. The news show that I'm going on is I'll show you. What's their handle? Oh, it's this one. It's like the Andreessen Horowitz copied TBPN. So technical, but with a like slant towards the business side of tech is probably how I would describe it, right? Like they're talking about AI stuff right now. So, yeah, that's them. I'm going to go on that in 2 hours. So I'm doing it for the clips. Right? Does this add like some legitimacy to me that I haven't had in a few years? I used to get quoted in like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. I used to be somebody. No, I used to work at security vendors who had PR departments who would introduce me to reporters. The hollowed LinkedIn poster demographic. Yeah. I know. I was like, should I go on this show? They do good. They do. I think they do pretty good interviews and they have pretty interesting guests on. They have like pretty high profile guests on. Like I'm like a weird bottom of the barrel person for them. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like this, right? Like there's a VOD, like they're live streaming on Twitter right now and probably on YouTube right now. So I'm sure there's a VOD like this. But they do a ton of clips. Like they've just like taken the TBPN like playbook. I don't think they hide that. I'm not even saying that in a bad way, right? I would love to copy the TBPN playbook because the end of the road of the TBN playbook is they got acquired for like $200 million as a podcast, right? Like, you're kidding yourself if you think you don't want to copy that. I told you guys, you will know the day that the $200 million check hits Matt's bank account. Okay. You will know. I will be here, but this whole background will be like neon CrowdStrike logos. And I'd be like, have you all heard the good word of our EDR Lord and Savior, CrowdStrike? Like, let's go, CrowdStrike. I like $200 million is an absurd amount of money. Vulnerable You will absolutely gladly. Siri Googled that entire phrase. And I'll have my own coffee brand. That's right. Oh my God. Stop it. I was laughing about the dumb Apple quote unquote AI assistant listening to me, and then it listened to me laughing about it because I accidentally said its name. Generational wealth. I mean, I'm serious, guys. TBPN was 11 employees and they got acquired for $200 million. Like, absolutely joking yourself if that phone call comes in and you don't take it, Absolutely joking yourself. All right, what's our hook? What's our first line of this YouTube video? Do I curse in the first line of a YouTube video? Is that a good or a bad thing? Dear algorithm gods, I ask of you, if I say, what the fuck is Microsoft doing as the first line of a YouTube video, would that be good or bad? Would that be good or bad? Do I just leave the fuck out? Do I just say, what is Microsoft doing? What in the 2009 are we doing here? May not be clippable. This Microsoft situation is bananas. Everyone buckle in, click like, and subscribe because we're about to roast a $3 trillion company. What if tomorrow I turned into that kind of YouTuber? If like by today I was like, hey, we're gonna, you know what, guys? I've gone to the school of Mr. Beast. We're Mr. Beast maxing on YouTube. What up, Brandon? Drink 10 coffees, bring that energy up. You're right, I do need to refill my coffee, actually. I'm gonna do that before I hit record. Big news for the unemployed. Yeah. My target audience is like preteens in Myanmar. And so I'm going full Mr. Beast on the channel. I don't know. I feel like tell me why I should care about this specific issue over a million others going on. Yeah, it's a good point. All right. So the why we should care about it is this is literally doing a detriment to the security of the most popular operating system on the planet because it's going to scare away security researchers from working for Microsoft. And so security will be worse on the most popular operating system on the planet for all of us. Because even if you don't use Microsoft on your desktop, every employee of every company that you use uses Microsoft on their desktop. All right, I'm gonna refill the coffee. That's a good call. Do you guys want like a babysitter blog up or something? Here, we're gonna put the No More Free Bugs article back up. Okay. We're gonna invoke 2009. So if you guys missed the first part of the stream where I talked about this, you can read this. And I'm gonna go refill the coffee, and then I'll be right back. gosh. I love having cold brew on tap, man. Oh, flashbang, no dark mode. Sorry. 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 It's just the website, man. It's an old website. It's an article from 2009. I was surprised that Threat Post was still out here kicking. Is Windows cooked? Makes sense. I've always thought of myself as a preteen for Myanmar. Yo, I know nothing about preteens from Myanmar, so sorry, I just threw that grenade. I'm just saying. I don't have the YouTube viral target audience is not the same. Jealous with Dunkin' Donuts K-Cup? No, yeah, dude. I work at a pretty swank shared office, and the people that own the master lease that I sublease from bat at a different tax bracket than I do, and they get the good shit in the kitchen for sure. So really good, like local cold brew keg. Apple's new security blog? No. And I'm too ADD. I need to record this YouTube video. Hit me with it, but I can't read it right now because otherwise I'll never do anything. Everyone in my text message thread trying Opus 4.8 says they're filling their token context like instantly. Where the whole chain is secure. All right, I do want to pull this up because I'm writing the newsletter right after this. Where is the Apple security blog? Like I do want it in a tab so I don't forget about it. Apple makes the quantum resistant encryption open source, that thing? I think I did actually put this in my newsletter already. Like a link. Is that what you're talking about? You know, I actually don't agree that the companies are begging to be hacked. I think that the companies are begging for security researchers to stop paying attention to them, which is almost fucking worse, right? Shit, when is my meeting? It's not at 2 o'clock, is it? It's 3 o'clock. At 5:30 is the Zoom. Guys, Andreessen Horowitz emails hitting my shit to invite me on the news is kind of crazy. Core crypto's always been open source. What's up? I'm just some person on the internet. I don't recognize your name. Welcome to stream. What do I mean? I mean, by burning all these bridges with security researchers, good security researchers aren't going to help Microsoft anymore. Like, there is a non-zero number of security researchers that after today will not give Microsoft their time or energy or attention. So then that means that the security of Microsoft products is going to rely on security research that Microsoft hires internally or via pen tests, and any security researchers who will still put up with this nonsense, which is a number smaller today than it was yesterday. Hasn't there just been to say it works by design so they don't pay? Yeah. Brandon, we spent about an hour going over it, and I'm about to film a video about exactly that. So buckle up. Live YouTube video incoming. I noticed you could see my grandma blanket in a few YouTube videos. I've got to like try to keep my little like, oh, Matt's chilly because he's wearing shorts because he lives in Texas, but this fucking building is frigid. My grandma blanket. All right, let's do it. We're going. Fuck it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Browser's working. Chat is hidden. Mic is on. I have to check that because I've recorded entire fucking YouTube videos where the mic wasn't on. Computer, go into do not disturb. All right, let's record. What's the hook? What's the hook before I record? I think the hook is like my funny tweet from earlier, right? Hey, guess what? Look outside. Gas is $5 a gallon, and Microsoft is threatening security researchers. Look outside. It's 2009. That's it. All right. We're going to record locally. All right, everybody, I want you to open your window, open the blinds, look outside, check the signs at the gas stations. What's gas? $5.50 a gallon? What's your... Hold on. All right, everybody, I want you to look outside, open your blinds, look at the sign on the gas station. What is it, $5 a gallon? And look at that. You open Twitter, and Microsoft is threatening security researchers with legal action because apparently it's 2009 again, and we all woke up like this. If you're sitting under a rock and somehow... No. Don't disparage people for not being chronically online, Matt. Okay. If you missed the news, some security researchers over the last few weeks have been so frustrated with disclosing vulnerabilities that they found with their hard-earned time and expertise, and they disclose them to Microsoft and have such a bad time that they've resulted in public disclosure. They're putting the vulnerabilities and the proof of concept code to hack those vulnerabilities live on GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft. Microsoft has responded by banning this user across all of its platforms, pulling down their GitHub and even GitLab accounts. And now they published a blog today that we're going to take a look at because I feel like our heads have been, hit. We've fallen backwards into a time machine and we've woken up in literally the early 2000s because some of this stuff, I'm going to do a bit of a history lesson in this video, and some of this stuff could be ripped directly out of the first decade of this century. Right off the bat, you're going to really understand my position on this. It's not going to be... Right off the bat, you're going to understand my position about this. I'm not going to be good at hiding it. They title it a shared responsibility. A shared responsibility. And this is going to be the theme of the video, okay? They talk about how they protect customers through coordinated vulnerability disclosure program. The spoiler alert for the rest of the video is that this shared responsibility doesn't feel too shared. We're going to go back and read that post, but currently, if you go online, it's people spending their entire day regaling tales of trying to be the good citizen and actually taking this shared responsibility seriously, and Microsoft not holding up their end of that bargain. So it's really ironic to title this article a shared responsibility, which caused all this drama today. So they start off the post with saying that every year we work with hundreds of security researchers through the Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure Program. And they call this the industry standard, right? This is an industry standard. This means this is like a social contract in the security industry that if you find a vulnerability, that you will abide by the Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure Program of the vendor that you are giving that information to. And it asks researchers to share their findings with the affected vendors to give them an opportunity to understand the impact and address it before the details become public. Right. This is what they're saying is the industry standard. This is a social contract, not a literal contract, right? That's important to distinguish. That's an important thing to distinguish here. The key part of the early part of this article that I think that a lot of people take issue with, there's a lot to take issue with here, but the key part to take issue with is they say this partnership allows us to make updates to those impacted services before proof of concept code can make it into the hands of the bad actors. I'll get back to that in a second. Through this valuable partnership, we also ensure the researchers are compensated for their responsible disclosures and publicly acknowledged at their expertise. Again, spoiler warning, that's not everyone's experience trying to responsibly disclose things to Microsoft. The other bit that is doing a whole lot of assuming here is that when you have a 0 day in your code, you're a vendor, say you're, the most popular operating system vendor on the planet, and you're assuming that there's a 0 day in your code and that this one security researcher is the only person that has proof of concept code working for it, and that them publishing it is the only thing that would possibly put that exploit code into the bad guy's hands. And while, yes, it does accelerate it for a lower skilled adversary or an adversary who just hadn't found that vulnerability yet, the point of security research is to make us all more secure, your customers more secure. Not the point isn't for you to fix vulnerabilities in the cheapest, easiest, best public relations way possible for you. The point of security research is to make a more secure internet. If the 0 day exists, we need to assume the bad guys already know about it. So assuming here that you're saying that the security researcher is the reason that proof of concept code can make it into the hand of bad actors is a bad assumption. That is not an assumption that we can build a security program on. Security programs are not built on hope that the bad guys don't have the ability to exploit the vulnerability that we just found. Now, they go on, I'm not going to spend too much time in this video talking about the vulnerabilities that currently cause this wave of drama and conversation. Just know that there's plenty of content. Go check out Low Level. I can link his video below talking about a lot of these vulnerabilities. The researcher was known as Nightmare Eclipse. They don't name Nightmare Eclipse in this article, but they name specifically all of the vulnerabilities, and these were the GitHub repo names that the researcher published the exploits under. And some of these were very serious vulnerabilities. Things like Yellow Key were complete BitLocker bypasses. If you watch my channel, you probably heard me talk about the BitLocker bypass already at the very least. This vuln was so bad that people are actually questioning whether it was there on purpose, because it seems like it's a backdoor that could only have been there on purpose. There's no way you could have accidentally left this backdoor in. These are the level of vulnerabilities that we're talking about going on here. The other bit that is in maybe a bit of a debate, it lies in this paragraph, right? They say these vulnerabilities, known as Red Sun, Undefend, Blue Hammer, Yellow Key, Green Plasma, and Mini Plasma, were not responsibly disclosed. At least one of these, I believe it was Blue Hammer, at least one of these, Blue Hammer, we do have evidence was attempted to be responsibly disclosed before the security researcher got so angry at the process, was like, you know what? Fine. If this isn't a vulnerability for you, you're going to stonewall me. You're not going to give me a CVE. You're going to say that it doesn't meet my standards for a bounty, blah, 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 which we will see as a pattern. Then I'm just going to throw this on GitHub. I also want to make it very clear that hitting a stonewall of a vendor saying that the issue that you're telling them is not a security issue and having a hard time getting them to respond in kind in the industry standard way, the actual the part of the process is to then publicly disclose the vulnerability. This is what keeps this social contract in balance. We need to hold the vendors accountable to get the vulnerability fixed, not to make sure that it is cheap or looks good for you to work through your security process. In response to the unnecessary risk created by these disclosures, our security teams have been working around the clock to understand the impact and protect our customers. Right. So right off the bat, we know we have the researcher has published the discourse. We know that they tried to disclose Bluehammer to you, and you said that this was not a high enough risk to meet your standard, which seems to be a pattern over and over again. So which is it? Are you responding to unnecessary risks created by these disclosures? Are these disclosures putting customers at unnecessary risk, as you say multiple times in this article? Or are these vulnerabilities serious enough to patch? Or are these vulnerabilities not serious enough to handle the security researcher with the process that you would expect them to? Then comes the part of this blog post that literally feels like it's out of 2009. Okay. I understand some vendors are probably spicy about full disclosure, especially when it's one after the other. I mean, Nightmare Eclipse literally just week after week was dropping these vulns. It was like, okay, you pissed off the wrong person. Okay, I gave you this one. You know what? Now it's public. You know what? Tomorrow is Red Sun. You know what? Next week is Green Plasma. So they were definitely doing this in an intentional, retaliatory fashion to how bad it was to try to disclose Bluehammer to them, right? So I understand that, Microsoft's big hurt about this, but, fine, have the public disclosure, responsible disclosure debate all by yourself. This part is inexcusable, completely inexcusable. And we are so far past this as an industry. We remain firmly opposed to these actions and any disclosure outside proper coordination that could harm our customers and the digital ecosystem. So you can tell the tone has completely changed here to the security researchers are the problem. The security researchers are threat actors. This is what this sounds like, right? If you find a vulnerability in our products and disclose them, you are harming our customers and the digital ecosystem. Not the fact that the vulnerable code is out there on the most widely used operating system on the planet. That's not harming the digital ecosystem. The disclosure is. Can you tell where I land on this topic? Uncoordinated disclosures that put proof of concept codes for unpatched vulnerabilities into the hand of bad actors, which again, we should not assume is the only way that they would have that, are never justifiable. Also incorrect. This is an industry standard way to hold vendors accountable to the social contract. The public disclosure and never justifiable is completely indefensible in this industry and have real-world consequences. Our security teams across the company work tirelessly in tracking threat actors who look for weaknesses just like these to attack Microsoft and our customers. So again, in this sentence, we're lumping security researchers in as threat actors. And our digital crimes unit will continue bringing cases against these actors and those that enable their criminal activity, coordinating as needed with law enforcement around the world. This is insane. I'm going to flip now because it's time for the history lesson, okay? This is straight out of 2008 language to be threatening legal action and calling security researchers publicly disclosing your vulnerabilities for you. You're calling them criminals and threatening legal action. Let's just, all right, let's go through the time machine, okay? We're gonna go back to 2009. Hey, hat tip, Dennis Fisher and Threat Post. Whoops, I didn't mean to click that. All right, let's go through the time machine. Does everyone remember Threat Post? I used to wear a Threat Post t-shirt a lot. This is one of the earliest and best security publications. Dennis Fisher is still out there doing the Decipher podcast. And this goes back to 2009 and the No More Free Bugs movement. This is Alex and Dino here, and they're standing on stage at CanSec West, which if you have to put yourself in, if you have to put yourself into the head of a 2009 security person. Bug bounties didn't really exist yet, right? Like you as a security researcher were doing it because you loved security research. And maybe you were doing it to like boost your career as a security researcher, but a lot of people were not, right? So like they say it right here off the top of the article. For years, software makers have benefited from the work done by the community of security researchers who spend days or weeks looking for vulnerabilities. This work is virtually always done pro bono. Can you imagine that in 2026? That like high-level operating system zero-day identification and web browser zero-day identification was almost always done for free by researchers who either had day jobs and do the research as a sideline or by experts at companies, and they're doing this as a way to promote their services, right? Like these security researchers, they ran consulting shops. And them getting on stage and talking about how they broke into Internet Explorer was like a way for them to promote, but they weren't getting paid, right? Most of these bug reports were given to the affected vendors by free. And now this is the movement. You know, it feels like I'm talking about the Clone Wars, the old bug bounty wars of 2009. Alex Soderhoff, Dino Dazovi, Charlie Miller. These are legends of bug bounty research of the time. They say no more free bugs. At CanSec West. CanSec West was where Pwn to Own happened. Pwn to Own was one. Oh man, I forgot to turn that off. How do I turn that off? All right. Sorry. Streamlabs. Okay. Case. What's up, Case? I'm recording a video. I'm so happy you're here. I'm reading an article from 2009. I was sitting in Case's classroom, who just showed up in Twitter chat. I was sitting in Case's classroom like maybe 14 months before this. Sorry, I got so excited. All right. Where was I? Sorry, editor. This is not a clean edit for you. So CanSec West is where they kicked this off. CanSec West was where Pwn to Own was. Pwn to Own is still kicking around. It's a hacking contest where some of the big bounties for the big browsers and like critical infrastructure pieces of software, money gets put up. You go to the conference, you have to hack it live there on their most up-to-date version in their environment right there, and you get awarded some pretty big bounties. But back in 2009, the bounties weren't actually all that big, and this was one of the only ways to get rewarded for certain security research. There was no like long ongoing bug bounty programs for a lot of these companies. And looky who we're talking about back then. Charlie Miller says, I was shocked when I saw someone sign up for Pwn to Own to go after Internet Explorer 8. You can get paid a lot more than $5,000 for one of those bugs. So we're going back to an article written in 2009 saying that Microsoft was underpaying for bugs by valuing an Internet Explorer 8 bug at $5,000. That was the fly to Vancouver and hack this live on stage. Generally, a lot of these people weren't even American or Canadian. So very long flights to go on stage for 5,000 buckaroos to hack the most popular web browser on the planet at the time, Internet Explorer 8, fully patched, right? And Charlie's going there going, what the hell are you doing? That's basically a free bug. I've talked to a lot of smart, knowledgeable people, and no one knows exactly how he did it, but he could have easily gotten $50,000 for that vulnerability. This is 2009 money, not even like true inflation, but just like bug inflation. $50,000 most popular browser on the planet bug. You know, you're talking like a 7-figure Chrome bug was paid $5,000 back in 2009 by Microsoft. And I'd say that $50,000 was on the low end a price point. And the only way that you were actually getting those $50,000 at that point was by going through a company like the Zero Day Initiative or iDefense, not from like the vendors themselves. Charlie at the time was focused much on Apple and Safari research, and he was saying for that same amount of time that he did the work for IE and Firefox, he could have found 5 or 10 Safari bugs, and if they're paying $5,000 for every verifiable bug, he could have made 25 or 30 for the same amount of research here at Pwn to Own. Dino and Alex said, hey, that bug was actually a $100,000 bug in Internet Explorer. So even then, the debate of the value of the bug was up, but it wasn't $5,000. But here's the part of this 2009 report that we need to read right now, because in 2026, we're having the same freaking conversation. Reporting vulnerabilities can be legally and professionally risky. That sentence has a hard time processing in my 2026 brain as we have a bunch of AI agents on our second screen hacking for us and trying to find vulnerabilities right now. And it's hard to even dream about that security research could be legally and professionally risky right now. I mean, we've built a multi-trillion-dollar industry off of security research at this point. But in 2009, it was legally and professionally risky. And I guess what's old is new again, and we're making it legally and professionally risky again. When a researcher discloses a vulnerability to the vendor, there's no whistleblower protection, and independent security researchers may be unable to legally defend themselves. And this happened a lot back then. You could get threatened, sued, or thrown in jail for basic security researcher. It happened. It happened all the time. A number of security researchers have had their employers pressured by vendors to whom they were responsibly disclosing security vulnerabilities. So you would do the responsible disclosure thing, and in turn, the vendor would send nasty grams to your job or send lawyers after you or even law enforcement. Vendors expect security researchers to follow responsible disclosure guidelines when they volunteer their vulnerabilities, but they are under no such pressure to follow responsible guidelines in their actions towards security researchers. Where are the vendor's security researcher amnesty agreements? And they're saying it's unfair to paying customers. Professional bug hunting is a specialized and expensive business. Software vendors freeload on security research community, place their customers at risk by not putting forth the resources to discover vulnerabilities and fix their products. The researcher can try to sell it to Zero Day Initiative, iDefense, or a government or other buyer like dark market, but the vendor shouldn't expect the bug finder to just hand over their details gratis. Those days are gone. No more free bugs. 2009. Find the difference between these two pictures. Our digital crime unit will continue bringing cases against these actors, and these actors are security researchers and those that enable criminal activity. I mean, guys, what are we doing here? The responsible disclosure process is a two-sided social contract. You must abide by your end of the social contract, vendor, in order to even close to hope the security researchers follow that process. They're under no obligation to do so. You have the big scary armies. And we're going to get to a post by Casey John Ellis, who a founder of Bug Crowd, who articulates this beautifully in a second. But I would like to go through some evidence really quick that this discourse has drummed up on Twitter about people trying to responsibly disclose things to Microsoft and this social contract being broken over and over and over again. These are in no particular order. And we're not going to go through every time I refresh Twitter today, there's new ones. We're not going to go through all of them. But last time I dealt with MSRC, I found a command injection vulnerability present for a decade in context menus. Wasn't critical, but it was exploitable. He's got a whole talk about the vulnerability. MSRC did not reward a bounty, nor did they attribute a CVE to this, because it doesn't meet their criteria as a vulnerability that requires an immediate security update. However, it was fixed in the next round of security updates. Herein lies a pattern. My last submission to MSRC was for device guard bypass. I learned my lesson from prior drawn-out submissions to them, so I included a 90-day window this time. MSRC responded by saying that it met their bar and that they would fix it, but they asked me to withhold well past 90 days because this was, a super hard-to-fix vuln. They needed some extra time to fix it. I agreed under the condition that I got a CVE issued in my name out of it, and they agreed. After the agreed upon patch Tuesday, a few months later, this is ridiculous timeframes, by the way, I couldn't find any mention of the CVE in the list. Why was the security researcher even having to hunt around the patch notes? Shoot the guy an email. So I reached out to MSRC to inquire. It turns out they changed their minds, deciding it no longer met their bar for servicing, but they did patch it anyway. Since it didn't meet their bar, they didn't issue a CVE. MSRC strung me along for a few extra months to keep me quiet and then broke their word. They could have at least bought me dinner first. And then herein lies the problem of everything we're talking about today. That interaction left me with such a bad taste in my mouth, I don't really feel like interacting with them again. And that's why I didn't publish any exploits and tools last year. This is what the consequence of treating security researchers like this is. If you want to talk about unnecessary risks, if you want to talk about putting your customers at unnecessary risk or causing harm to the digital ecosystem, talk about scaring off talented security researchers. So for the last calendar year, they did no security research on your product as someone who has a resume of the ability to find issues in your product and just won't because you left such a bad taste in their mouth. Last time I dealt with MSRC, I responsibly disclosed an issue with legacy auth that allowed me to spray passwords at redacted and avoid smart lockout. I received an email 5 months after initial case opening that it doesn't meet the bar for servicing, and they silently fixed. Closed case. Do we see the pattern? We've got agreements on Twitter about this one case. Dangerous territory right here. Researchers going full disclosure are threat actors now. This is a one sentence yikes. I agree, Jadix. We've got massive Twitter accounts on cybersecurity talking about specifically, I mean, they talk about a lot what we've talked about already, but the thing that I want to point out here is that we've got Nightmare Eclipse saying that at least Bluehammer was not blindside. April 15th, signed post, the actor said MSRC was fully aware of the disclosure and that the case had been filed and dismissed. Microsoft knew another disclosure was coming. The entitlement and audacity from Microsoft lately is breaking my brain. What do you mean you're worth $3 trillion and you're so mad that random hackers won't do free work for you that you're trying to get them arrested? Then Zach's reply here, Microsoft paid $17 million in bug bounties last year, which when you think about it is comically and absurdly low. We've got some other unks in chat who are around at the No More Free Bugs, the Clone Wars, the Bug Wars. Remember, these companies are trillion-dollar empires relying solely on the goodwill and patience of hackers for too long. MSRC has forced many of us to turn our back on responsible disclosure and proven that the only meaningful method for change is full disclosure. As Charlie Miller once said, no more free bugs. They have dropped the facade that they built over the last decade. And then Aaron has a really good point here. Also, these bugs are way more shallow. So waiting 30, 90, 100 days is ridiculous. We get it in hard to fix low level code, but a lot of this stuff is not that. You know, context menus and things like that in Windows should be much easier to fix. Some patching does take true time, but really that's the devices or weird targets, not some random component of a mainstream operating system or some software package you need to move faster. I think Keith sums this up absolutely perfectly for me. This infuriates me. A responsible disclosure requires a responsible company to receive them. This is the social contract I keep bringing up. By any metric, MSRC is difficult to deal with, getting paid by them doubly difficult so. But given that they seem to have chosen to cause that researcher a lot of personal problems, I can understand why that researcher just decided to drop the info for folks to use. This wasn't meant to be an abusive relationship with big cores. It was meant to be a situation where vendors could get the chance to fix things because the alternative was these vulns getting sold to bad actors who would abuse them. If Microsoft wants to abuse its position to cause harm and take things down arbitrarily, sorry, I'll do the whole thing again. If Microsoft wants to abuse its position to cause harm and take things down arbitrarily, then congrats. People just will start to consider that before they choose to engage with MSRC. More pattern evidence. A single packet could permanently disconnect. This is from May 22nd. This isn't even this week. This person just tweeted to it because it's very topical. This guy found a DOS from a client from connecting to the server under default settings, and MSRC rated it moderate severity. What a day. I'll disclose later. They said it would be addressed in a future release, but no credit and no bounty. I mean, this goes on and on and on. The memes are strong. Are we responsible for our terrible reputation? No, it's the community that's at fault. So you spent a year finding a high impact vulnerability? Yes, Dave. And you disclosed it responsibly for $5 in a t-shirt? That's correct, Dave. If they're saying that they took the GitHub stuff down because it violates terms of service, as LZ says, then half of the offensive security industry lives on platforms that are TOS. If they're saying that the reason that they took this stuff off of GitHub is that it violates TOS, as LZ says, then half of OffSec is cooked. A bunch of stuff was figured out 20 years ago. Why are we pretending that GitHub and GitLab is neutral infrastructure? And MG even says Stack Overflow literally prohibits posting Stack Overflows. I want to end on this post by Casey, who was the founder of BugCrowd, which is, one of the big bug bounty facilitating companies. And he's thought about this exact topic probably more than most anybody. There's probably about a dozen other people on the planet that have thought about this topic more than Casey. This blog post isn't even from today and isn't even about Microsoft, but it's about Citrix. We're not even going to get to that vuln, but it encapsulates perfectly what we're going through today. There's some absolute bangers in here. And I think it's poignant to end on this because he talks a little bit about what he thinks needs to happen to make this change. The amount of context that you need about this vulnerability that was publicly disclosed by Citrix is just that the researcher found 89 different vulnerabilities. The researcher had patches and didn't give them to Citrix. And then the researcher did the thing that some researchers do and branded the vulnerability with an embarrassing name for the vulnerability and called it Shitrix. And there's different layers here, and Casey takes them really well. But the point that I want to hone in on is, again, the asymmetry of this social contract of responsible and full disclosure. We're going to read these two paragraphs verbatim because I think they are required reading at this point for the industry. The vendor cannot, in practice, be sued by the researcher before the lawyers freak out here. Yes, a researcher absolutely could sue a vendor, but as anyone who has been involved in litigation will quickly tell you, lawsuits almost always turn into a war of attrition, and the deepest pockets last the longest. The vendor cannot be arrested by the researcher. The vendor cannot have a CVE assigned against its will because in many cases, the vendor is the CVE numbering authority for its own products. The vendor cannot be doxxed, fired, deported, bankrupted by the researcher. The researcher can experience all of those things at the vendor's hands, and we have documented evidence of all of those things happening over the years, or at the hands of a regulator that the vendor is aligned with, or at the hands of a customer who has been told the researcher is the problem. Need I flash back to this paragraph where we're talking about researchers like threat actors? This is not a moral claim about who is good and who is bad. It is a structural claim about where the leverage sits. Coordinated disclosure, as we currently practice it, is a system in which one party carries almost all the legal risk, all the reputational risk, all the time cost, and all the silencing pressure, and the other party carries effectively none until they decide to actually engage with the vulnerability submission itself. That system runs when it runs at all on researcher goodwill. Researchers absorbing risk that vendors don't in exchange for what is supposed to be a fair process is the substrate underneath every disclosure norm we have. When the fair process stops being fair, the goodwill runs out. Again, this post isn't about Microsoft today, but it might as well be. That is the thing that is happening here. It is also the thing that is happening across our field. Citrix is not unique here. Citrix is typical, as we see. You could fill in Microsoft. Microsoft is acting in the typical way. And then Casey, again, ever poignant by breaking down a complicated topic into nuance. How dare you, Casey, break a complicated topic down into nuance? We're here for clicks and views, buddy. We want to say, is this good or bad? Is what Moksha did good or bad? How dare you break what he did down into 4 nuanced takes? Okay, this is really good. So he talks about 4 things that this drop actually did. A, he went public at all with his security research. B, he went public with no embargo period, no 90-day thing. C, he refused to share the patches that he made. This is kind of abnormal. Security researchers don't usually sit on patches for the code. And then the 4th thing, branding it as Citrix and kind of trolling the vendor. These are 4 different parts of what happened here, and they each should have different takes. The part that we're going to focus on is this first one, because I think Microsoft needs to read this, print it out, etch it in stone, put it on a monument in Redmond, and maybe outside a office where the team who wrote that post today sits, and they should read it every day when they go in. Decision 1, going public, public disclosure. This one's easy. Going public after vendor channels have demonstrably failed is not an aberration. It is the safety valve that makes the rest of the system work. It has 25 years of established precedent. It is recognized by every credible disclosure norms document. And the alternative, a world in which researchers who hit vendor stonewalls have no recourse, is a world in which vendor stonewalls become the dominant equilibrium. Public disclosure is what disciplines vendors who would otherwise have no incentive to ship fixes. Take it away, and the entire model collapses. So on the question of whether Moksha was justified in going public at all, given the vendor record he documented, yes. Not interesting. Move on. This is documented. We've got this. Decision 2, no embargo, right? So just no 90 days. No like, hey, by the way, here's the thing. Here's 90 days, whatever. Or 15 days for all this kind of stuff. Casey says this one's defensible, but he thinks that maybe CISA should have been warned because that's 15 days, which is still pretty fast. But even this, given the vendor's record, is defensible. Refusing to share patches. This is where Casey says there's some nuance. This one doesn't impact the Microsoft thing because Nightmare Eclipse isn't writing patches for Bluehammer or anything like that. But it's still interesting to hit on. The thing that's interesting to talk about here is that it highlights that when the vendors own their own CVE numbering authority, that there's a conflict of interest. If the researcher went the responsible disclosure path here with the patches and everything, the vendor is incentivized to downplay these vulnerabilities, which would mean that the customers would hear about these CVEs in a very low severity light and might not rush to get these patches out. If a vendor will weaponize the patch into a low severity CVE assignment, providing the patch to that vendor undermines the disclosure itself. The point of disclosure is to inform customers about risk. The point of withholding the patch from a vendor that will downgrade that risk in its public communications is to preserve the disclosure's signal. This is huge here on incentives. But Casey does acknowledge that, hey, this does invoke a cost to the customers who now have to wait for Citrix official patch channel, which will be slower. Detection is published openly, which is the right call, but detection is not patching. Knowing that your Zen server host is exploitable does not by itself fix it. Customers in this scenario are bystanders. They did not stonewall the researcher. They did not downgrade the prior CVEs. They're downstream of a fight between a researcher and a vendor. Casey lands on the most coherent argument and the most uncomfortable consequence are both present in the same decision, and they don't cancel out. Imagine that. Casey being nuanced. And then the branding, he's like, I love a good troll, but this is going to make you get taken less seriously. What would actually fix this? This is why I wanted to close the video on this. The asymmetry cannot be patched by asking researchers to be more patient. It is structural and it needs structural fixes. For example, cryptographic disclosure commitments that don't depend on the researcher staying alive, unsued, unbankrupted, and uncoerced. Vendor accountability scoring that is actually scored by a body that is not the vendor. CVE pipeline reform that does not let conflicted CVE numbering authorities grade their own products. It's ridiculous that that's still a thing. None of these things are my ideas. This is Casey speaking, right? People in the field have been talking about them for years. I have longer essays about them, but the short version is we have to stop running disclosure on goodwill that the system will actively penalizes because eventually the goodwill runs out and we get this. And I flip back to the paragraph where Microsoft is today calling security researchers who publish their research to help make the internet more secure, calling them threat actors and calling them criminal enablers, and all of this is actually at odds with, like Casey said, 25 years of precedent of settled discourse about how to handle this. Microsoft, you have some very, very, very talented security people that work there. You put out some great products. What you are doing today to your reputation with the security community and what you've been doing over the last many, many years of people trying to make your products more secure and get just acknowledged, possibly compensated for their efforts is inexcusable and needs to change. Let's listen to your own CEO about it. If you're faced with the trade-off between security and another priority, your answer is clear. Do security. This is key in advancing both our platform quality and capabilities such that we can protect the digital estates of our customers and build a safer world for all. What you're doing here by calling security actors, what you're doing here by calling security researchers criminals is not doing security. This is responsible disclosure working as intended. Public disclosure is part of this. You are not acting responsibly by receiving these security reports and treating security researchers the way you do. So as is actually the industry standard, not whatever one you're talking about in your post where you're calling security community criminals, full disclosure is the next step to hold you responsible, to shift the balance in the force a bit towards more equilibrium to those of us without armies of lawyers and regulators at our own hands. Thank you for everyone who tweeted your experiences with MSRC today. It was absolutely necessary to drive this conversation out of just this Nightmare Eclipse is this like lone wolf bad actor. We're going to go after him and shine a light on what is going on here and why it's going on here. Thank you, Casey, for this brilliantly written blog post. I'll put all the links to the description to this down below. Please, while you're down there, do all the YouTube things if you found this valuable, and follow for more cybersecurity news. Okay, we did it. What up, VXDB? Yeah, it works. Sorry, I was live recording a video. Now chat's back on screen. All right. Was I balanced? Was I scathing yet fair? I think I was scathing yet fair. All right, let's get that up to drive. Ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum-bum. Thanks for anyone who hanged out. Let me scroll up what was going on in chat while I was gone. First of all, my old college professor showed up. What's old is new again. He apologized for distracting me. No, it's awesome. Brett showed up. Unemployed OS security researcher here. I think you said criminal about 20 seconds ago. Should I not have? Did I call them a criminal? Oh, whoops. I didn't mean to. Very fair. Microslop strikes again with their horrible takes. Yeah. All right. Let's get this uploaded into Drive so my editor can get that out. Today. God, my group chats are blowing up about people kicking the tires with Opus 4.8. I'm a little FOMO right now. Not impressed with the coding output. Everyone is still codex pilled, it seems. Very Flare, good talk. Hey, thanks, guys. VXDB, you are awesome. Right? Yeah. You and VX Underground and everything, you guys are great. Thanks for stopping in chat. I appreciate you. How did I not already follow you back? I like definitely get your shit in my... I literally saw your porn bot DM thing yesterday. Like, you're in my feed all the time. I don't know how I didn't follow you back. What's up, Justin? I think you snuck in while I was recording. I've got about an hour, and then I'm going live on that news show to talk about this too. So it's going to be a Microsoft thing today. Let me catch up on shit while I was doing this. Sorry, when I ignore all windows for like half an hour while I record, turns out a lot of things come in. Posting O'Day's exploit publicly does not make you a criminal. 100% it does not make you a criminal. Jeez, man. Like, this is solved. This is solved. This is 2000 a night shit. See you, Justin. Thanks for stopping in. Oh my gosh. The Pi coding agent. No, I haven't. I use another Pi, P-A-I, for a lot of stuff. And then I use Maestro. I've heard some people say some good things about that Pi thing. I use Maestro. If you look at runmaestro.ai is my coding agent of choice. Here, I'll paste it in chat. I'm going to go scream at Microsoft on Twitter. 1 second. That could literally be all of Twitter today. I could have just said, going to go scream at Microsoft on Twitter. 1 second. I'm going to go on the news and talk about this. How do I explain this to normies? Crashing out on Twitter also does feel pretty 2008. You're right. Nord, is that you, Bingus? Or is it a different Bingus? Isn't that your Twitter handle, Bingus? Holding with Pi is not just dead simple TypeScript. So it's kind of like Arch Linux thing where you can configure it to work however you want. That's cool. That's cool. I like the no relation. All right. My YouTube editor's name is Nord, and his Twitter right now is like the Bingus Man or something like that. So I thought maybe that was you. I like Maestro for its auto run feature specifically. It's also, there is like a learning curve tax to continually shifting your stack. So like, I'm kind of okay with, even if it's not like the absolute best, I don't like paying the learning curve tax to switch every 10 minutes. All my homies are using Codex with GPT-5.5 right now. And I'm like, okay, I probably should do that. And then I got people pointing me in other directions. So it's really hard to keep up. Talk about how these researchers are using their time, expertise, and resources to find these exploits. Some taking a year, and in some scenarios, all they want is some CVE recognition. Yep. Yeah, the issue with the YouTube video I just filmed is since I talked for like an hour about it earlier, I'm not sure which topics I didn't hit while recording. You know what I mean? I might have said some things only on stream and not that video. But it's all right. You can't talk for 2 hours on a YouTube video. With that audience, I'm focused on the corporate aspect of this. Like, how is this lesson we already learned in the way, what that meant? Leave them with the realistic CTA for demands. Yeah. That's what I figured too, right? Is like, hey, the security community has solved this issue, and Microsoft is like pretending like this isn't a solved issue. That like, disclosure is responsible or not. And like Casey, like to Casey's point, let's find Casey's point really quick. Casey's point, he's like, I even hate the term responsible disclosure. Big asterisk, right? Like, responsible disclosure requires a responsible company to receive it. And so Casey's like, this right here is one of the reasons I don't mind the term responsible disclosure, asterisk. Responsibility literally means the ability to respond. It's a bilateral thing, asterisk. I still avoid using it because at the end of the day, a company has way more resources available to prosecute something as irresponsible than a researcher typically does. So he's basically like, hey, I kind of don't like the term responsible disclosure because you're like, that means you have all the power to just determine what is responsible and what's not. And like, fuck you, you don't get to just determine what's responsible and what's not. We're trying to make the internet more secure here. Yeah, man. Of course I'm on the Maestro leaderboard. I think that was actually a bug that like I closed my laptop and opened it a few days later and it was like, you ran this agent for 2 days. But we're not going to say that. We're not going to, no. I'm like an AI agent, super pilled power user wizard. I got my agent to run for 2 days uninterrupted. It built me a whole company, makes 4 million ARR with just a VPS. All right, guys, why don't I have 4,700 people watching stream? I just talked about how my AI agent is making $4 million ARR out of VPS. Views, please. Views, please. Opus 4.8 is magic and is going to print you money. Fucking bullshit ass content creators, man. One-sided and litigious. The other side just wants memes and cat pics. I've followed more people on Twitter today than I have in a while. I'm just like, anyone who's participating in this conversation, I'm just like, yeah, I'll follow you. You know ball. You know ball. Mythos is a threat actor?
Mythos!
Mythos, the threat actor. The AI super hacker has escaped the lab. Somebody do something. They can't keep getting away with this. They can't keep getting away with this. Opus 48 is a national security risk. I went for a 5-minute walk yesterday and found $10 on the ground. Who is this hacker named 4chan? That's right. That's right. All right, guys. I have to go be on the news at what time? Oh, no, that's way later. I have a meeting in 20 minutes. That's right. I've got a meeting in 20 minutes, and then I'm on the news in a few hours. I'm calling it the news to make myself sound more important. It's just kind of this Twitter live stream that Andreessen Horowitz does, but I'm going to go talk about this. Yeah, I am also glad that everyone's speaking out and like gave us stories to talk about all day. That was great. Whoa, 3-hour stream. I've only been doing like hour and 45, 2 hour 15 streams the past week or two. Oh, VX. I'm on MTS, the Andreessen TBPN clone. I'm going on them in like 2.5 hours ish. 3 hours. I guess the guy I'm talking to is in Australia. So it's late my time. Send the link. Yeah. Let's pull it up. I think they do a pretty good job. I mean, they're very obviously just trying to be TBPN, right? Even the aesthetics are super similar. But I think that they do get fairly high profile people to come chat. So I'm doing it for the clip, boy. Matt was on the news. That's what we're going to go with. That's what we're going to go with. Matt was on the news. So yes, I will be on this this afternoon, 5:30 my time Central. I'm going to be on this one. So 6:30 Eastern. All right, guys, I'm going to go. I'm going to try to bang the newsletter out. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, volnew.com, goes out every Friday morning. So I'm going to go write that so that hopefully I can go home tonight and pretend I have a family. I'll be on that show at 5:30 my time, 6:30 Eastern. Newsletter tomorrow morning, and I will be live. I'm going to go live Monday since I'm traveling next week. I'm going to go live Monday and Tuesday morning next week since I can't Wednesday or Thursday like I usually do. So Monday, Tuesday next week, live stream. And then I'm keynoting a conference next week, right? So I'm going to try to live stream my keynote. I do not know when or how that's going to look, but just keep an eye out. Maybe, I don't know if I'm speaking. I'm traveling out Wednesday. The conference starts Thursday. I don't know if my talk is Thursday or Friday. But I think I'm the opening keynote. My talk is not written fully yet, but it's going to be about the commoditization of the nation state hacker is or the nation state threat actor is like the title. So basically how stuff that we were only seeing out of nation states for the past couple of decades, we're now seeing just like on the streets. So just like the lowering of the skill bar of everyone's threats, threat actors, changes the threat model, all that kind of stuff. So that's my talk that I'm going to give. I'm going to try to give it at a few other places after I give this keynote. So like there's more opportunities for people to see it. But yeah, we'll go with that. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. See ya soon. Is this distinct from what Russia's been doing for years? I mean, yeah, Russia is a nation state actor, right? So it's like, that's what I'm talking about. Is like stuff that used to only happen out of Russia and China. We're just seeing that shit on the streets now.